Chapter 318. Yi Qianqian's attacks were getting weaker and weaker. It was obvious that she was at the end of her rope. Although Wang Zhong wanted to help, he knew that if he went up now, he would be courting death. So it was better for him to stay put. If he went up now, Yi Qianqian would have to take care of him. Seng Jianxiang's crescent blades were getting stronger and stronger. Yi Qianqian finally couldn't resist anymore. Aya! Yi Qianqian didn't notice and her injured right arm was sent flying. Plop! Yi Qianqian fell to the ground, landing right beside Wang Zhong. Yi Qianqian! Wang Zhong supported her. Puff! A mouthful of blood was spat on Wang Zhong's face. Damn, this is so satisfying. Kid, you're here to treat the wounded, right? Kill Yi Qianqian, and I'll make sure you don't die. Seng Jianxiang saw some medicine in Wang Zhong's pocket, and the bandages on the wounded. He knew that Wang Zhong was most likely a doctor here. In the post-apocalyptic world, doctors were very precious. Looking at Yi Qianqian in his arms, Yi Qianqian also looked at Wang Zhong with a cold expression. Wang Zhong sighed. Although he could live if he killed Yi Qianqian, he would feel sorry for his heart. In fact, after these days of contact, Wang Zhong could see that although Yi Qianqian was arrogant and overbearing in this camp, she was actually a good person. The reason why she suppressed the men and prevented them from exchanging items was for everyone's safety. This was because there had been incidents of men bullying women in the camp. At this moment, Wang Zhong naturally wouldn't make a move. Seng Jianxiang was surprised. Kid, you're not afraid of death? Yi Qianqian also looked at Wang Zhong in surprise. Wang Zhong's originally cold and gloomy expression became unfathomable. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and looked at Seng Jianxiang. Seng Jianxiang, you think you can kill me like this? Why, you still have a trick up your sleeve. Seng Jianxiang smiled faintly, but his heart was alert. In the post-apocalyptic world, there were all kinds of equipment in the exchange center. Who knew what kind of equipment could make Yi Qianqian turn the tables? As a qualified leader, he naturally had to be extremely careful in his actions. Yi Qianqian smiled. Suddenly she took out a scroll. Seng Jianxiang was stunned and quickly retreated. He thought that the scroll was something that could cause a huge explosion and cause mutual destruction. Yi Qianqian put away the hammer and opened the scroll. What he saw was a white light. Wang Zhong was close enough to see the words on it clearly. Written on it was Return Scroll. This, Wang Zhong couldn't figure it out. Where would the Return Scroll send people back to? Soon he knew the answer. As the light became brighter and brighter, he and Yi Qianqian disappeared from the room at the same time. F***CK, so it's an escape scroll. Seng Jianxiang angrily kicked Yi Jingjing's head away and scolded. Clean up this camp first. Kill anyone who resists. Yes. At this moment, Wang Zhong felt a strong gust of wind blowing in his ears. The wind was so strong that his ears were buzzing. He tried to open his eyes, but there was only white light in front of him. He couldn't see anything. Although he couldn't see anything, he still had some consciousness. He guessed that he might have entered a mysterious space. That return scroll could send people to a certain place. While he was thinking, the white light in front of him gradually dissipated. The sound of the wind disappeared, and he heard Yi Qianqian's weak whimper. It hurts, Yi Qianqian said weakly. Wang Zhong looked around. The white light had already dissipated. His surroundings turned out to be a residential building. This was obviously a bedroom. There was a rotten corpse lying on the bed. He wasn't familiar with this place. He didn't understand why he was here. Looking out the window, there was a large residential building. Below the building, there was a dense group of zombies. Oh my god, did we teleport to a zombie nest? Seeing the group of zombies below, Wang Zhong was stunned. This is my hometown, Marlene said. Yi Qianqian also opened her eyes. Gritting her teeth, she looked at the corpse on the bed and cried. Mom! This is your sister's mother. Wang Zhong said. How did we suddenly appear here? This is a return scroll. When I got this scroll, I set the location of the exit. It was set to my original home. My original plan was to escape when my sister and I were in trouble. I didn't expect her to die. At this time, Wang Zhong saw the photo album of Yi Qianqian's family on the bedside table. I used to live with my sister in that villa. After the disaster, my sister and I wanted to pick up my mother, so we returned here. We saw that my parents had turned into zombies, so we killed them. At that time, this place wasn't surrounded by zombies. I didn't expect it to become like this. Don't talk. Let me treat your wounds. Do you have bandages at home? Wang Zhong squatted by Yi Qianqian's side. Her broken arm was still bleeding. It was hard to imagine that a woman with such serious injuries could still be standing. I have obtained the blood of beastmen before, so my physique is not ordinary. This kind of injury is bearable for me, Yi Qianqian said. She leaned on the bed and slowly stood up. We go out first. I remember there is a medicine box outside. There are bandages inside. Okay, you bear with it. They opened the door and went to the hall. The hall was big and clean. There were some bloodstains on the floor. Wang Zhong let Yi Qianqian sleep on the sofa in the hall. Under Yi Qianqian's guidance, they quickly found a medicine box. Opening the medicine box, there were half a roll of bandages and some iodophor alcohol. After treating Yi Qianqian's wounds, Wang Zhong looked at the scene downstairs and said, "There are too many zombies. I don't know how it became like this. There were no zombies before." Yi Qianqian's face was full of worry. "The food at home was taken by me and my sister last time, so we don't have anything to eat," Wang Zhong said. "There are a lot of residents on this floor. Why don't you go next door?" "Okay." Wang Zhong nodded. This was the only way now. "Oh right, give me that hammer so I can defend myself," Wang Zhong said. "It's not that I don't want to give it to you, but the hammer and I have already fused." Yi Qianqian stared at Wang Zhong and took out the hammer. "Try and see if you can lift it." Wang Zhong knew from Ni Shaoqin that a lot of equipment will fuse with the original owner once it is obtained. When the original owner dies, the equipment will disappear. Now that he heard this, Wang Zhong curiously tried tapping the hammer. Heavy. It was too heavy. He could not lift it. This hammer was only as big as an ordinary claw hammer, but it was very heavy. "You can't lift it. In this world, only I can operate it. This is also the rule of these equipment." Wang Zhong nodded and gave up the idea of lifting the hammer. Then, Yi Qianqian flipped her hand and took out a crossbow. "This is the crossbow I made. Take it." "Where did you put all these equipment? Can you summon them at any time?" Wang Zhong asked. "We put all these equipment in different spaces. Different spaces can only store equipment, but not things in the real world. Every space is different. The bigger the space, the more crystals it needs." Yi Qianqian lay on the sofa and found a comfortable position. She said weakly, "I need to rest for a while. Wang Yan, I'm sorry. I don't have the strength to go find food with you." "It's okay. Let me do it." With a sigh, Wang Zhong went to the kitchen and found a fruit knife and hammer. He looked around the kitchen and picked up a pot lid. The lid was about 60 centimeters in diameter. It could be used as a shield in front of him. "So miserable. I'll just make do with it." Wang Zhong felt that he had returned to the time before liberation. His luck was bad at the beginning. He had no exchange points and did not know the secret of the crystals in the zombies' heads. After that, he struggled to survive. When he finally got shelter, his camp was destroyed in a few days. Miserable, too miserable. He knew that life would be miserable, but this was too miserable. Not only did he return to the time before liberation, there were even zombies downstairs. But no matter how miserable it was, he had to smile and live. "I'm going out." Wang Zhong took the only equipment he had and walked out. Fortunately, the zombies outside were not difficult to deal with. The main problem was that they were too slow. He could kill them with a stab to the head. This building was obviously a high-end residential area. Wang Zhong was secretly surprised. It seemed that Yi Qianqian and her sister made a lot of money from live streaming. They could even afford such a high-end residential area. Now that he thought about it, before the apocalypse, the sisters' live streaming traffic was very high. Many of his junior high school classmates gave them gifts. Every time the students who gave them gifts came to the classroom in the morning, they would excitedly shout. "Yesterday, little Qianqian shouted 666 to me again. Thank you, brother." From this, it could be seen that Yi Qianqian's market was very wide. Coming to the opposite room, Wang Zhong took out the hammer and smashed the door handle. Bang, bang, bang. Just like that, a day of searching for supplies began. He searched the other rooms on the same floor. Although there were many supplies, there was not much food. After all, it had been more than a year since the apocalypse. Even if there was food in some places, except for canned food and vacuum-packaged food, most of the food had expired. Therefore, Wang Zhong only found a few bags of snacks and some old rice. He collected a lot of water, which was the drinking water of every household. After moving the supplies back, Wang Zhong found that Yi Qianqian had fallen asleep. With a sigh, Wang Zhong began to make a fire. But this residential area was too high-end. Natural gas was used here. Now that there was no water or electricity, natural gas was needless to say. I can only find some wood to make a fire. Wang Zhong entered the bedroom, removed the wooden board on the bed, and began to make a fire. How am I going to live in the future? Wang Zhong looked at some moldy rice and fell into deep thought. Chapter 319. In the following days, other than searching for food in the building, Wang Zhong also observed the zombie horde downstairs. There were too many zombies, and there was no end to them. Even if Yi Qianqian was in her best condition, she would have to kneel down if she went downstairs. The only good news was that Yi Qianqian's injuries were slowly recovering. If it was an ordinary person, they would have already bled too much or died tragically from inflammation when they encountered an injury, like a severed arm. But Yi Qianqian would not. Just like what she said, she had the blood of beast men in her body. Her blood was endless, and she would not lose too much blood under normal circumstances. Unless her head was chopped off, she would lose too much blood. As for infection, that would not happen. The blood of beast men was wild and domineering. Infection would not affect her. Because of that, Yi Qianqian managed to survive without much medicine. 3 months later, Yi Qianqian had recovered about 70 to 80% and was able to get out of bed. Looking at the endless zombie horde outside the window, Yi Qianqian started to cry. There were too many zombies. Even if it was her, she would not be able to kill her way out. I noticed that the zombies are moving. Let's wait patiently. Wang Zhong patted Yi Qianqian's shoulder and said helplessly, "Okay." Yi Qianqian leaned on Wang Zhong's shoulder and slowly fell asleep. During this period of time, the two of them were alone. They had already developed feelings for each other. So the two of them did not avoid anything. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. There are too many zombies. Why haven't we left? Yi Qianqian said while drinking a thin porridge. Sigh. Wang Zhong sighed. Although the zombie horde was moving, there were too many of them. After walking for 3 months, they still could not see the end of it. During this period of time, they ate less and less. In order to survive, Wang Zhong placed a lot of basins on the roof to collect water when it rained. Although the water problem was solved, there was less and less food. In order to save food, they could only eat porridge every day. Wang Yan, are we going to die here? Yi Qianqian asked. Don't worry. Even if we die, there will be a next time. Wang Zhong said. Next time? Rebirth? During this period, Wang Zhong and Yi Qianqian chatted a lot. He also told her a story about Wang Zhong's time travel to relieve her boredom. Yes, there will be a next time. All right. Yi Qianqian smiled. Do you know why I'm doing live streaming? Didn't you say that it's a hobby? Other than that, there's another reason. It's because my family is very poor that I started live streaming to earn money. Yi Qianqian leaned against the window and cried. Tell me, isn't this a bad thing? There's nothing good about it. Perhaps Yi Qianqian knew that they wouldn't survive, so she chatted a lot. What happened when they were young, what happened in their family. In order to find topics to talk about, Yi Qianqian also talked a lot about the apocalypse. After listening to Yi Qianqian's explanation, Wang Zhong realized that other than her and Seng Jinxiang, there were many other experts in other places. These experts were the lucky ones in the post-apocalyptic world. Most of the exchange centers had descended near them. After obtaining the crystals, these people had embarked on the path of the strong. In the blink of an eye, another half a year had passed. This year they finally ran out of food. Wang Yan, speaking of which, you're really unlucky to not be able to exchange for anything good. Yi Qianqian smiled and poured the remaining porridge in the pot to Wang Zhong. Qianqian, what's wrong with you? Looking at Yi Qianqian's thin face, Wang Zhong was puzzled. I'm not hungry. I've been feeling unwell for the past few days. Wang Zhong understood. Yi Qianqian was worried that there wasn't enough food, so she gave the remaining porridge to Wang Zhong. I'm going to sleep for a while, Yi Qianqian said as she lay on the bed and fell asleep. Looking at the remaining porridge, Wang Zhong didn't eat it and laid on the side to rest. He didn't know how much time had passed. After living here for so long, he had long lost the concept of time. When he woke up, Wang Zhong looked to the side and saw that Yi Qianqian's body was already stiff. She must have left during the night. When she left, there was a faint smile on her face. She looked very peaceful. Qianqian. Wang Zhong looked at her corpse and didn't know what to say. There was a tearing feeling in his stomach. Hungry, too hungry. I didn't expect to die so tragically in this round. I actually starved to death. Lying on the sofa, Wang Zhong was very hesitant and had the urge to commit suicide. However, he didn't know if suicide was within the rules of the game. He felt that it was better to let nature take its course. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Zhong felt that his strength was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, he fell into a deep sleep. Reincarnated character died. 6,000 experience points dropped. Opening his eyes, Wang Zhong looked at the familiar ceiling in front of him. I actually starved to death. Wang Zhong sat up from the bed and touched his stomach. Although he wasn't hungry, the world in the game was too realistic. The feeling of starving to death was still there. Hence, he walked out of the house. Brother Wang, why can't you sleep? At this time, Shen Shuangshuang was sweeping the floor and asked curiously, I'm a little hungry. Wang Zhong walked to the kitchen and started to fry the steak. Hungry? Shen Shuangshuang was a little confused. They had just finished eating. How could he be hungry so soon? Men really have a big appetite. Shen Shuangshuang could only comfort herself like this. After eating a piece of steak and feeling the fullness in his stomach, Wang Zhong realized that he was really full this time. After packing up, Wang Zhong ignored the surprised Shen Shuangshuang and returned to his house. He didn't enter the game. Instead, he recalled his previous experience in the game. It was too realistic. The scenes in the game were vivid in his mind. Monsters, zombies, bats. Enai Xiaoqin's head hanging on the hood of the car. Yi Jingjing's head that was kicked away. Yi Qianqian who starved to death. And that arrogant Seng Jinxiang. Strictly speaking, he couldn't be blamed for losing the game this time. Since he was young, he had tried to practice martial arts. In the end, he realized that the world was not suitable for practicing martial arts. Although he had lived a luxurious life since he was young, his physical fitness was not strong. The physical fitness of the body couldn't be made up by eating. It had to be made up by secondary development. Unfortunately, when the apocalypse came, he was only 14 years old. He didn't have time to develop. One of his hands was smashed on the spot. After that, he could only live a life of hiding. The most important thing was that his luck was really bad. After 20 consecutive lottery draws, all of them were trash. According to previous experience, the older I am, the more experience I will lose after losing the game. So this time, I lost 5,000 experience points. The game this time is a bit difficult. If I enter the game again this time, even if I find the exchange office, my luck will still be this bad. Wang Zhong now felt that the game was getting more and more difficult as he went deeper into the game. Chapter 320. Congratulations, Mr. Wang. You have a fat son. As Wang Zhong landed on the ground, the nurse hugged Wang Zhong and congratulated him. Ha ha ha, you look exactly like me. I didn't expect that I, Wang Debao, would have such a fat son at 40 years old. Ha ha ha. Wife, it's been hard on you. Wang Zhong calmly looked at his familiar parents and sighed. In this life, I will change my fate. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 10 years old. Just like in his previous life, Wang Zhong had increased his appetite in this life. Every day, he would crazily eat 5 bottles of milk, 5 large steaks, and 3 bowls of black chicken soup. However, his body was still thin and weak. Is this the legendary body that won't get fat no matter how much you eat? Wang Zhong was somewhat helpless. His thin and weak body caused him to be at a disadvantage in the early days of the post-apocalyptic world. Although he had memories of his past martial arts, due to the difference in strength, these martial arts techniques were effective against people of similar size, but they were useless against people with truly strong physiques. Fortunately, he now had the advantage and knew the situation after the post-apocalyptic world. When he was 8 years old, Wang Zhong knew that his father, Wang Debao, would meet a great calamity and die miserably. After Wang Debao's death, because his mother didn't know anything, the family fell into decline. The mother and son ate steamed buns and salted vegetables every day. This time he had to prepare in advance. Finally, the day of Wang Debao's death arrived. "Wife, I'm going out. I might come back late tonight. Don't wait for me to eat." Early in the morning, Wang Debao put on his clothes and ate breakfast and prepared to go out. When Wang Zhong was about to go out, he suddenly pulled his father and said, "Dad, I want to talk to you about something." "Son, you still have to go to school." "Why? Do you want me to send you to school?" Wang Debao laughed. "No, this afternoon. The school is looking for your parents. Come back early. Our family will drive to school." "Son, did you cause trouble?" Yang Zi curiously asked. "Of course not. The teacher asked you to go over to talk about something." Wang Zhong couldn't find a good excuse and could only say so. After all, he couldn't just say, "Dad, there will be monsters coming out of our neighborhood at night. You will die if you pass by there." If he said that, it would definitely be like the last time. He might even die in an accident. "Talk about business? What do you want to talk about? Teacher didn't inform us?" Yang Zi asked. "It's true. I don't have to lie to you, do I?" Wang Zhong put on a pitiful look. "Their parents are already there. If you don't go, it won't be good. Then let your mother go. I have a very important business to discuss today." After saying that, Wang Debao patted Wang Zhong's head. "Son, be good. Mom gave you a present tonight." "Dad." Wang Zhong still wanted to say something, but unfortunately, Wang Debao had already walked out. Wang Zhong's face turned ugly. Even this can't persuade Wang Debao? It seems like this business is really important to him. However, no matter how important it was, he still had to destroy it. That's the only way. Wang Zhong said to himself, "Son, I'll go to school in the afternoon." Yang Zi put on her shoes and prepared to send Wang Zhong to school. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Wang Zhong came to the field and looked around. Soon, he saw 3 fat guys surrounding a little boy and provoking him. "Fang Xiang, did you bring the money I asked you to bring yesterday?" A big fat guy pushed the little boy. These 3 fatties were all senior students, and they often bullied other students. "Whoa, I don't have money." The little boy called Fang Xiang directly cried. "Pa!" The big fat guy slapped Fang Xiang's glasses away. "Damn 4-eyed boy, you're getting more and more disobedient, right? I asked you to bring money to show filial piety to us, but you're actually disobedient? Brother Jia, don't. I really don't have money." Fang Xiang cried. "Beat him." The big fat guy continued to beat him, but at this time, a brick smashed towards the big fat guy's head. "Ayo, who hit me?" The big fat guy's head was smashed until it was bleeding. He turned his head and saw that it was a little boy he didn't know who hit him. "Damn, who are you? How dare you hit me?" The person who hit him was naturally Wang Zhong. "You bully people. You deserve to be hit." How arrogant. The 3 fat boys were infuriated as they charged towards Wang Zhong. The 4 of them instantly wrestled together. Against these 3 kids, Wang Zhong was not afraid of anything. It was very simple, because he was ruthless enough, plus he had some martial arts foundation, so he didn't suffer much. After fighting for more than 20 minutes, the teachers finally heard the news and came. Originally, the teachers heard that Wang Zhong was fighting with 3 famous kids who liked to bully other kids, so they thought that he would be at a disadvantage. But when they came, the 3 fat guys were sitting on the ground crying. Their heads were smashed with blood. Wang Zhong of course didn't have a good time. His face was bruised and swollen. "Wang Yan, go to my office," the teacher scolded. "The 3 of you, go to the infirmary quickly." Wang Zhong followed. His class teacher was a male teacher with the surname Li. Usually, because Wang Zhong's grades were good, he treated Wang Zhong very well. But this time, he was very angry. Pa! Once he entered the office, Teacher Li slammed the desk. Wang Yan, why did you fight? The three of them bullied me. Just because they bullied you, you can hit them with a brick? You even hit them to death. Look at what you hit them to death. Teacher Li. Wang Zhong raised his head and looked at Teacher Li with bright eyes. Then call my parents over. Teacher Li was stunned. Usually, students were afraid of calling their parents. But now, Wang Yan took the initiative to call his parents. But this child asked him to call his parents. He didn't want to. It's already so late, why call your parents? Tomorrow, Teacher Li said. Wang Zhong was speechless. He tried so hard to hit those kids, but it was all to get his father back. Teacher, call my parents, or else how will you scold me? As a teacher, you have to be responsible. You child, you're too strange. Whether I call your parents or not, I know in my heart. I don't need you to tell me. But teacher, you have to call me your parents this time and scold me harshly. Please. Teacher Li looked at Wang Zhong. Wang Yan, are you okay? What can happen to me? Let's talk about this tomorrow. Teacher Li waved his hand, still unwilling to call his parents. After all, school was about to end. This is troublesome. Wang Zhong frowned. This is the only way. This is the last way. If this method doesn't work, he can only call his father back by jumping off the building. So, he dug into his pocket and took out a wallet. Usually, because his family was well-to-do, he had a lot of pocket money. But he didn't spend like other children, he saved it all. Now is the time to use his money. Pa! 10 bills were thrown on the table. Wang Zhong said, Teacher Li, call my parents back home. What is the meaning of this? Teacher Li frowned. In order to call your parents back, you want to bribe me? What do you think I am? Wang Zhong didn't say a word, as he threw another 10 bills onto the table. Teacher Li, this matter is very important to me. You only need to move your pinky, and I'll be able to call my parents back. Student Wang. Teacher Li angrily slammed the table. Please respect yourself. Am I that kind of person? Pa. Wang Zhong threw another 10 bills. Here is 3,000. As long as you agree, I will give you another 3,000 in my phone. Student Wang, you are a good judge of character. Teacher Li kept the money without leaving a trace, coughed and said, Do you want me to know about this? Wang Zhong smiled. Of course. Although he paid 6,000, as long as his father didn't die, they were still rich. Afterward, Teacher Li gave Wang Debao a call. Mr. Wang, something happened to your child today. Hurry and come over. According to Wang Zhong's instructions, Teacher Li purposely made the matter very serious. At this time, Wang Debao was on his way to find a client to discuss business. When he heard that his son got into a fight at school, 3 against 1, and even got injured. What? Is the injury serious? Hurry and come over. If you don't come over, it will be too late. This sounded like it was the last time to see him. Wang Debao's heart went cold. I know. I will come over immediately. After that, he quickly called Yang Zi. The two of them rushed to school together. Thank you, teacher. There is one more thing that I need to ask of you. Wang Zhong transferred the money to Teacher Li. Be sure to let us go home at 8 o'clock. Okay. Teacher Li nodded. Although it was a bit strange, as the saying goes, if you take someone's money, you have to help them. So be it. When the two of them arrived at school, it was already 6 o'clock. Following Wang Zhong's instructions, Teacher Li took the opportunity to make a fuss. He fully described how Wang Zhong acted bravely for a just cause, and how he bravely fought against the 3 bullying children. Of course, in the end, he also suggested to bring Wang Zhong to the hospital for a checkup. When they came out of school, it was already 8 o'clock. Wang Debao was somewhat unhappy. Such a small matter and still let us rush over. Do you have nothing better to do? Don't say too much. Teacher Li is just being kind. Yang Zi comforted. How can I not be unhappy? Just now, the secretary called and said that the 2 clients canceled the order. Damn, this is a project that our company has been working on for months. Now it's gone. Wang Zhong said from the side. Dad, money is just a worldly possession. Think about it. Maybe you lost the money and got something else? You this child only know how to comfort people. Wang Debeo shook his head helplessly. It took more than 2 hours to drive home. But when they were about to enter the neighborhood, they found that the whole road was blocked. We live inside. Why is the road blocked? Wang Debeo got out of the car and asked the police who blocked the road. There is a special situation in the neighborhood where you live. Quickly leave here. After that, 3 military vehicles quickly drove over. One by one, soldiers came down from the vehicles and ran inside without saying anything. There were too many soldiers. There were even helicopters flying in the sky. Run! Monster, there is a monster. One by one, people ran out in panic. Chapter 321. Wang Debeo and Yang Zi's face changed when they saw the crowd that was escaping from the crack. Something is wrong. Wang Debeo got into the car. He does big business and is very smart. He made a prompt decision to leave this place. Just as the car drove out, Yang Zi saw a video news about their neighborhood's entrance. In the news, it was about the insect monster that appeared in the crack in their neighborhood. Yang Zi was shocked when she saw this scene. Something really happened in our neighborhood. A lot of people died. Wang Debeo stopped the car by the roadside and quickly looked at his phone. His face suddenly became ugly. He recalled that after he finished dealing with the customers, it was about time for him to go home. If he went to the neighborhood's entrance, wouldn't he have encountered those monsters? Looking at the crowd that was directly swallowed by the insects in the video, Wang Debeo was scared. Fortunately, I didn't go to talk about business. Otherwise, I'm afraid something really would have happened. Wang Debeo said. After that, the family was arranged to stay in a nearby hotel by the government just like in his previous life. Dad, now that something like this happened to you, you have to be careful of the company. If someone messes around in the company when you are not around, it will be troublesome. The next morning, Wang Zhong reminded Wang Debeo. Wang Debeo smiled and thought that his son was thinking a lot. Although he didn't put Wang Zhong's words in his heart, but after thinking about it, the company was indeed a bit strange recently. His secretary told him that the two partners found excuses to not check the accounts properly and recently took a lot of the company's investment projects. The more Wang Debeo thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. He didn't rest anymore and immediately drove to the company. For the next 2 days, Wang Debeo kept checking the company's accounts. Finally, he found out that something was wrong. His two partners, who were his brothers since childhood, actually got together behind his back and wanted to seize the company's power. Fortunately, he found out early and stopped these secret actions in time, saving a lot of losses. Under Wang Debeo's manipulation, the two partners were finally kicked out of the company. 3 months later, after settling the company's matters, he decided to buy another house. Dad, buy this neighborhood. Wang Zhong took out a map and pointed at the neighborhood behind Yi Qianqian's house and said, "The villa here is good." "What's good about it?" "It's so far from your school." Wang Debeo wasn't very happy. "Dad, it's really not far. I like it. You can buy it here." The villa that Wang Zhong was referring to was not Yi Qianqian's villa. At that time, her villa was also rented to someone else. It was specially rented for live streaming purposes. At this time, their villa was not rented out to the public. The villa he was referring to was a villa in the same neighborhood. At that time, there were 3 exchange offices in Yi Qianqian's territory. The best one was in Yi Qianqian's house, and the other 2 were in other villas in the neighborhood. During this period of time, he had observed that there was a 5th villa next to Yi Qianqian's. This villa would have an exchange office when the time came. Currently, this villa was for sale. Of course, Wang Debeo didn't like the villa here. It didn't affect him much, but for Wang Zhong, school was far away. However, under Wang Zhong's persistent pestering, Wang Debeo finally agreed to buy the villa. "Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. You're the best." Just like that, Wang Zhong moved in. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 10 years old. At this age, his parents were finally relieved to let him go out alone. During this period of time, Wang Zhong explored the city that they lived in from the inside out. From his observation, Yi Qianqian and her sister didn't seem to have moved in at this time. That's right, according to Yi Qianqian's own story, she and her sister Yi Jingjing were still in school. At first, they were handing out flyers by the roadside. 2 years later, they started to play live streaming. Wang Zhong thought to himself and said to the taxi driver, "Driver, let's go to the Heavenly Court neighborhood." The Heavenly Court neighborhood was the neighborhood where his family lived in his previous life, after falling from grace. He wanted to go there now, because he wanted to see Anai Xiaoqin. Wang Zhong had a deep impression of this little girl. With the arrival of the apocalypse, she would be a good helper. When he arrived at the neighborhood, it was already evening. Anai Xiaoqin should have returned home from school. Sure enough, after waiting in the car for half an hour, Wang Zhong saw Anai Xiaoqin carrying her school bag and skipping into the neighborhood. Although Wang Zhong really wanted to go over and chat with Anai Xiaoqin, he still held himself back. A butterfly's wings could cause a tsunami. Similarly, he didn't know what would happen if he got to know Anai Xiaoqin in advance. Therefore, he didn't go there. This time, he only came to find the way. In the following time, Wang Zhong secretly used his pocket money to rent a villa nearby. Of course, he didn't rent it to live in, but to stock up on food, water, and various daily necessities. Of course, in order to rent and stock up on daily necessities, he needed a lot of money. For the sake of getting money, Wang Zhong decided to go all the way and secretly used his mother's bank card. Anyway, his mother was careless and had a lot of cards. Sometimes, she couldn't even tell how much money she had in her card. The following days were much better. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 12 years old. That night, Wang Zhong opened the Douyin live streaming room on his phone and searched for the editor-in-chief, Xiao Qianqian. Sure enough, he found Yi Qianqian's live streaming room. "Hello everyone, I'm your host Xiao Qianqian. Please follow me, thank you." Obviously, Yi Qianqian was still very young at this time. Because she didn't know how to speak during the live streaming, she was scolded by many people. "You're wearing so many clothes. No wonder no one watches your live streaming. You look okay. 150 yuan no more. I think I've seen you in an alley before." The comment section was full of obscenities, which made Yi Qianqian lose her mood to live stream. But at this time, a plane came over as a reward. Wang Yin rewards host Xiao Qianqian a jet. In an instant, a plane flew out on the screen. This was a virtual gift in Douyin. A plane cost 10,000 yuan. As the plane flew out, the comment section exploded. "Damn, Tycoon Bro is here. This costs 10,000 yuan. He's so rich." The bullet screen exploded in an instant. Following Wang Zhong's reward, many people also came to the room. At this moment, Yi Qianqian was also stunned. She hadn't been streaming for long. Every time she streamed, the gifts she received would at most be a few dozen yuan. But this time, she directly received 10,000 yuan and attracted many viewers. At this time, Wang Zhong sent a message, "I believe in you. You will definitely be popular. Do your best." Yi Qianqian quickly said, "Thank you, Wang Yan. I will definitely work hard. Thank you so much." Before Yi Qianqian became strong, she was still quite polite. Seeing Yi Qianqian nodding and bowing, and thinking of her domineering appearance in his previous life, Wang Zhong felt a little funny. Chapter 322. "Sis, is this Wang Yin guy his real name? He gave you so many tips in one go." After Yi Qianqian went offline, her sister Yi Jingjing couldn't help but ask. Yi Qianqian took off her earphones. "How would I know? But to be able to give so many tips in one go, he must be rich. I'll thank him again the next time I do a live broadcast." "Yeah, I want to do a live broadcast too," Yi Jingjing said as she looked at their living quarters. As they had just started their live broadcast, they hadn't earned much money yet. The two of them were still living in a small house. Yi Qianqian thought for a while and said, "Sis, how do you think we can become popular? Why do some people become popular so easily? We've worked so hard to broadcast for so long, but we only get a few hundred viewers each time." Yi Qianqian felt that if this continued, she would starve to death. "Do we really have to wear fewer clothes to become popular?" Yi Qianqian was hesitant. "It's not that easy. There are so many female streamers, and there are so many of them. How many of them can become popular? Most of them might even have their rooms blocked. Yi Jingjing thought for a while and continued. If we want to become popular now, we have to do something unique. But there are too many unique streamers. Yi Qianqian muttered. During this period she observed many streamers. Some of them live-streamed couples quarreling and became popular. Some of them live-streamed eating bugs and garbage and became popular. She thought for a long time, but she couldn't think of a way to become popular. That's true. It seems that most of the streamers have done it before. Yi Jingjing sat on the bed helplessly. Sis, I'm tired. I'll sleep for a while. Yi Jingjing looked like she was exhausted. She immediately fell asleep and lay down. Looking at her sister sleeping soundly, Yi Qianqian suddenly had an idea. Yeah, I can do a live broadcast of my sister sleeping. I don't think anyone does that. Yi Qianqian immediately thought of this. These days, there were all kinds of streamers, but no one would do a live broadcast of sleeping. Although it might be a little boring, what if it happened? This was a very novel thing. Hence, Yi Qianqian turned on the live broadcast and pointed the camera at Yi Jingjing. She had even prepared a video of her entering the room. I'm so tired. Since no one is watching my live broadcast, let's see if anyone is watching me when I'm asleep. After he was done, he started the live broadcast. Of course, just in case, Yi Qianqian promised that her sister would not reveal anything. On this day, Wang Zhong used his mother's card to buy a large truck from a truck company. He had thought about it. With the advent of the apocalypse, he needed a good means of transportation. This truck was not expensive, so it was very suitable to buy it. Of course, he didn't have a driver's license, so when the truck was pulled back, it was parked in front of his rented house. The salesperson who was selling the truck was also very curious. This teenage boy was too strange. He said that he wanted to buy a big truck for his parents. Initially, he had thought that he was here to cause trouble. He did not expect that he would pay the deposit on the spot, without even returning the price. Nouveau riche. He sighed. After the truck arrived, Wang Zhong planned to enter Yi Qianqian's live stream to see how she was doing. Who would have thought that her live stream would become popular all of a sudden? And she would even become a hot topic on Douyin. At this time, Wang Zhong was also curious about how Yi Qianqian became so popular. After taking a closer look, Wang Zhong was overjoyed. There was nothing in Yi Qianqian's live stream, except for Yi Jingjing's sleeping live stream. But such an ordinary live stream had hundreds of thousands of views, and it was still rising. The amount of tips was hundreds of times more than her previous live streams. Wang Zhong calculated that she had earned hundreds of thousands of yuan from this live stream. She could really make money while lying down. This time, Wang Zhong did not disturb them. After a year, the sisters, just like in his previous life, used this live stream to become popular all of a sudden. Many people even imitated them on the internet. But as more and more people imitated them, they soon lost their novelty. But now, Yi Qianqian was popular. Now, when Wang Zhong went to school, many of his classmates would show off how much they had tipped Yi Qianqian. Although they had been frugal this week, eating instant noodles every day, they would hear Yi Qianqian shout, "Thank you, brother 666." They were very happy. It was also this year that Yi Qianqian finally signed a contract with a big management company and successfully rented the villa. The two sisters lived there from then on. On this day, Wang Zhong tipped Yi Qianqian with 2 jets. "Thank you, Wang Yan, for the 2 jets. Cute." Yi Qianqian said happily to the screen. Her live stream was very popular now, and there were many big fans who tipped her frequently. But she was most grateful to Wang Zhong. It was very simple. This was the first fan who tipped her so much. Wang Zhong sent a message. "This is my chat account." Because he had tipped a lot, he had the opportunity to add Yi Qianqian's account. Yi Qianqian did not hesitate to add Wang Zhong's information. Wang Zhong did not hide his address and said directly, "I saw you at the door last time. I didn't know that we were neighbors." Yi Qianqian was very surprised. Oh my god, this fan was actually her neighbor. In principle, she did not like to have any interactions with her fans offline. These days there were all kinds of birds. Some people tipped a lot, and who knew what they would do to you offline. But she did not expect Wang Zhong to send a message. I'm already at your building. This fan called Wang Yan is actually at our building. In the house, Yi Qianqian said to Yi Jingjing. Yi Jingjing was much braver than Yi Qianqian. Hearing this, she excitedly ran to the window and said, I want to see who it is. Looking carefully, it was a kid who looked like a junior high school student. Damn, it's really a kid. Yi Jingjing shouted. It can't be? Yi Qianqian also walked to the window. Hello. Wang Zhong waved and shouted. You are Wang Yan? Yi Qianqian asked. Yes, my house is there. Wang Zhong pointed not far away. Come in and sit for a while. Seeing that Wang Zhong was so small, Yi Qianqian's worries disappeared. What could a little brat do to the two of them? Soon the door opened. What made Wang Zhong surprised was that the person who opened the door was Auntie Li. So Auntie Li is the cleaning auntie who works here. Wang Zhong thought to himself, as he politely greeted Auntie Li. This was a strong person in the post-apocalyptic world. Of course, he had to be polite. It was not bad to win a good impression. Wang Zhong thought carefully. Since his luck was so bad, he could only seek the protection of these strong people. It was not that he did not work hard, but his luck was too bad. Chapter 323. This young man is quite polite. Auntie Li nodded with a smile. She was very satisfied with Wang Zhong's respectful attitude. She had seen a lot of people working here. Because she was a cleaner, many people ignored her. But this young man was very polite to her. He must be a good young man. At this time, Yi Qianqian and Yi Jingjing came down. Seeing the two sisters again, Wang Zhong's heart was filled with emotions. In theory, he was very familiar with Yi Qianqian. Before they starved to death, they stayed together. He treated Yi Qianqian's wounds, and they told each other about their past. It could be said that they were as familiar with each other as an Ai Shaoqin. After that, Wang Zhong chatted for a while to familiarize himself with the sisters. After that he bid farewell to them. This young man is so strange. He just left like that. Yi Jingjing said. Maybe he just came to have a look. Yi Qianqian said. He seems like a good young man. Auntie Li also said. In the following days, Wang Zhong was preparing. He modified the truck. He hired 2 welders. First, he added a steel plate to the front of the truck. The steel plate extended about half a meter from the front of the truck. In this way, once the truck hit the zombies, it would be able to cut the zombies in half, reducing the resistance of the zombies. A large container was also installed at the back of the truck. There were horizontal attack holes on both sides of the container, which could be used to attack from the inside of the truck. In the following days, Wang Zhong went to Yi Qianqian's place from time to time. After a while, he became quite familiar with the 2 sisters. Finally, it was time for him to turn 14. In an hour, there will be streams of light in the sky. Doomsday is coming. Wang Zhong recalled the situation in his previous life. In his previous life, if it wasn't for him, an Ai Shaoqin would have died there without her glasses. So he had to save her. Of course, he had to save an Ai Shaoqin, so that he would have a better fighting force in the future. In the future, an Ai Shaoqin would get the Qilin arm from the lottery. Of course, he had to save her. However, he had to wait for 3 days to save her. Not long after, a huge crack appeared in the sky. This station is reporting the latest news. Many black cracks have appeared all over the world. Monsters are crawling out from the cracks. Residents, please stay at home. Do not go out. Wait for the government to rescue you. Soon, every TV program was broadcasting an emergency. Wang Debao and Yang Zi were watching TV. When they saw this, their expressions changed. What happened? Wang Debao walked to the balcony, and his face suddenly changed. Outside the residential area, wolf-like monsters that were larger than humans appeared. 2 black cracks also appeared in the residential area. Birds the size of human heads flew out of a black crack and attacked the passers-by. There was also a humanoid reptile crawling out from a black crevice. It looked like a toad and pounced on anyone it saw. What are these? Wang Debao was stunned. He quickly turned his head and shouted at Yang Zi. Wife, close all the anti-theft doors and windows in our house. No need, I've already closed it. Wang Zhong walked out expressionlessly, holding a machete and a crossbow in his hands. Son, you. The couple looked at Wang Zhong in disbelief. They couldn't figure out why Wang Zhong was holding these things. Son, where did you get these? Yangzi asked. Dad, Mom, I used to read some online forums. It said that there are a lot of monsters in this world. To be safe, I secretly saved these things. Wang Zhong calmly said. Then why didn't you tell us? Wang Debao looked outside. At this moment, many people were attacked by monsters on the street. There were countless casualties. If I told you, would you believe me? Wang Zhong said calmly. He walked to the window and saw the situation outside. The current situation was somewhat different from his previous life. In his previous life, there were no black cracks in the camp. But now, just 1 or 2 kilometers away, there were 2 black cracks. However, the monsters that crawled out of these 2 black cracks were not very strong. It seems that after Doomsday, Yi Qianqian and the others mastered the method to destroy these black cracks. At the same time, a message was sent. Just like in his previous life, this message said that there were deadly bacteria in the air. Some people would get infected and fall sick. The disease was similar to rabies. It was aggressive. It's so itchy. Yangzi looked at the message and was stunned. It's still here. Wang Zhong looked at his mother worriedly. Then he looked at Wang Debao, and his gaze suddenly froze. Wang Debao's neck also had red rashes. My neck is also itchy. Wang Debao couldn't help but scratch his neck. Dad, Mom, you, son. Yangzi cried. We might have been infected with the virus mentioned in the message. Wang Debao's eyes were red and swollen. Son, your mom and I will go hide in the house for a while to prevent the virus from infecting you. If anything happens, call us. I know. Wang Zhong didn't know what to say. He could only nod. I will bring you food. Wang Debao and Yangzi entered the house. After a while, Wang Debao's crying voice came from the house. Wife, why did you bite me? Why? Son, remember, don't come in. Wang Debao screamed at the top of his lungs. At this time, Wang Debao already knew the consequences of the virus. In fact, these days, Wang Zhong also thought about strengthening his parents' body's resistance to the virus. Therefore, they ate a lot of supplements. But it seems that it was useless. They were still infected. It seems that the virus is not based on a person's physique. An hour later, Wang Zhong entered the house. He killed 2 zombies and obtained 2 crystals. The most important thing now is to kill the zombies and low-level monsters outside, and obtain the crystals to gain strength. Wang Zhong walked out of the house, and looked at the house of Yi Qianqian and her sister. The door of the house was surrounded by a large group of zombies. Obviously, the sisters and Aunt Li were trapped in the house. To deal with this group of zombies, Wang Zhong was already prepared. Wang Zhong sat in the large truck that had been prepared beforehand, and stepped on the accelerator. With a roar, the truck charged forward. There were too many zombies. Many zombies heard the sound, and rushed towards the truck. Wang Zhong slammed his foot on the accelerator, slicing all of the incoming zombies in half. The zombies without legs were naturally no longer a threat. Arriving at Yi Qianqian's house, Wang Zhong drove back and forth several times. Finally, there were only a dozen zombies left. Hey, there is a truck. At this time, Yi Qianqian saw the situation downstairs. It must be to save us. Yi Jingjing cried with joy. This scene caused Wang Zhong to feel amused. He had met them in his previous life, and knew that they were extremely valiant. Truly, the environment could change a person. There were only a dozen zombies left, so there was no need to hide. Wang Zhong got out of the car, and cut down the zombies in front of the door. With the previous experience, Wang Zhong fully understood the weaknesses of these zombies. Therefore, it was not difficult to deal with these slow zombies. After dealing with the surrounding zombies, Wang Zhong climbed up to the roof of the car. In the distance, there were another 30 zombies surrounding them. They were lying on the roof of the car, struggling to grab Wang Zhong, who was on the roof. Wang Zhong grabbed a spear from the roof of the car, and stabbed it at the zombies surrounding the car. Poochie poochie. Like a pierced watermelon, the heads were pierced one by one. Black blood flowed on the ground, emitting a bloody smell. This guy is so strong? Yi Qianqian was shocked. Blurg. Yi Jingjing could not stand it anymore and directly vomited on the ground. After a dozen minutes, the zombie group was completely dealt with. Wang Zhong jumped out of the car and began to pick up the spoils of war. He was holding a bag in his hand. After prying open the zombie's head, he threw the crystals into the bag. After obtaining so many crystals again, Wang Zhong was excited. In his previous life, because of his bad luck, he did not have any exchange points. He had a miserable life and missed the opportunity to develop. This was also the reason why his previous life was so miserable. This time he obtained the crystals so quickly. He wanted to develop properly. The travel bag was now heavy. He could not lift it with his strength. Therefore, Wang Zhong dragged the travel bag to Yi Jingjing's door. "Open the door. I'm here to save you." The other party was a human. Yi Qianqian of course went downstairs to open the door. "Wang Yan, why did you put so many zombies' brains in your bag? Also, why are all your trucks modified? You seem to have prepared for this." Yi Jingjing also ran downstairs and said. Aunt Li looked at Wang Zhong with a face of surprise, but there was a hint of vigilance in her eyes. Aunt Li looked old, but this was also her advantage. She had seen many people. She knew that in this post-apocalyptic world, the law and enforcers would lose their effect. The result would be the collapse of social order. Wang Zhong closed the door and looked at the three of them. "I can tell you some things later. It can also make you stronger. You can live better in this world. But first, you have to listen to me." Yi Qianqian's face became guarded. "The situation outside, do you know what is going on? If you guys frequently browse the internet, you'll realize that many disasters have already happened in various parts of the world. Over the years, I've already made preparations just in case. I never thought that such a situation would really happen." After Wang Zhong finished speaking, he directly headed upstairs to Yi Qianqian's apartment. "Hey, why are you going upstairs?" Yi Qianqian shouted. "You will know in a while." These strong people in the future were still weak. Of course, he would not explain too much. Whoever did not listen to him was courting death. Soon, Wang Zhong arrived at the exchange point in Yi Qianqian's room. Chapter 324. Looking at the shining exchange points in front of him, Wang Zhong took a deep breath. This exchange point was obviously a level 3 exchange point. For the early days of the apocalypse, this exchange point was already considered good. However, his luck in his previous life was too bad, and the items he exchanged were all trash. "I wonder how my luck will be in this life." Wang Zhong stretched out his hand, and a white light enveloped him. Inserting the crystals one by one into the card slot, the exchange items appeared in front of him, and at the bottom was the lottery. "Who made these things? It's like a game?" Wang Zhong cursed as he started to prepare for the lottery. After all, the lottery was the only way to win big. After inserting 10 crystals, he began the lottery. "Congratulations, you've received a bottle of mineral water." It was a familiar feeling. Wang Zhong gawked, and his expression suddenly turned ugly. He continued the lottery. "Congratulations, you've received a nail clipper." "Congratulations, you've received an ear pick." "Congratulations, you've received a pair of slippers." "Congratulations, you've received a milk bottle." F***CK. It's the same as before. Wang Zhong could not help but curse. Sure enough, although he had changed a lot of things in this life, his luck was still the same as before. How could he survive in the post-apocalyptic world if he did not do so? Could it be that he could only rely on a woman to survive? Currently he only had about 50 crystals left. Without a choice, Wang Zhong could only withdraw from the exchange point. When he went out, Yi Qianqian and her sister, as well as Auntie Li, were standing in the room looking at the white light curiously. "Wang Yan, did you just enter the white light?" Yi Qianqian looked at Wang Zhong with bright eyes. Her eyes were filled with interest. She felt that the white light seemed to have some secret. This young man must know. Wang Zhong pondered for a moment and said, "This place is the exchange point." After that, Wang Zhong explained briefly and said to Yi Qianqian, "You can enter the lottery. These crystals are for you." Since he could not get anything, he could only let Yi Qianqian have it. "This is the reward you got from the lottery? Isn't it too lousy?" Yi Jingjing picked up the pile of rewards Wang Zhong had drawn, and was a little speechless. It feels like a waste of time. Not necessarily. Although water isn't worth much, we are currently lacking water and food. These are still very useful, Auntie Li said. Yi Qianqian, you can go in now. Wang Zhong passed the crystal to Yi Qianqian. Yi Qianqian nodded. She had no reason not to trust Wang Zhong. As soon as Yi Qianqian went in, Wang Zhong looked at Aunt Li and Yi Jingjing and said, "Next, we will continue to hunt zombies and monsters. The monsters we kill will have this thing in their heads. Our goal is to obtain these crystals." Yi Jingjing nodded in confusion. Aunt Li hesitated and said, I want to go home. My son is still at home. There are zombies outside. If you go out now, you will die, Wang Zhong said. Yi Jingjing also lowered her head. My mother is also at home. When you have all drawn the lottery, you can go if you want to. Wang Zhong knew that they had all gone back, so he wasn't worried. After talking for a while, he was a little thirsty. He subconsciously took the mineral water that he had drawn from the lottery. He unscrewed the cap and took a sip. The mineral water that he had drawn from the lottery was much better than the ordinary water at home. It was sweet and tasted very much like. Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. Why did this taste so much like the spiritual root water? Suddenly, he felt a stream of qi slowly rising in his body. If he hadn't cultivated qi, he wouldn't be able to feel this qi. But Wang Zhong had cultivated it before. At this moment he felt the qi flowing. This bottle of water was actually spiritual root water. Wang Zhong stared at the water in his hand in shock and suddenly laughed. Last time, because he was dissatisfied with his bad luck, he threw a lot of the garbage that he had drawn from the lottery to some unknown corner, so that it didn't touch the water. But this time, due to a freak combination of factors, he found out the secret of the water. Since this water is spirit root water, then the person behind the scenes who created this game. Which world is he from? What kind of game is this? Wang Zhong's mind was filled with more and more doubts. He felt that every world mission had something in common. Although he felt strange, this was obviously not the time to think about it. He couldn't wait to drink the mineral water in one gulp, thinking that he should stock up on this mineral water in the future. Not only that, he wanted to taste any food that he had drawn from the lottery. At this time, Yi Qianqian walked out of the white light. She was holding a hammer in her hand and looked a little sluggish. Blacksmith's hammer. Wang Zhong's eyes were burning. Yi Qianqian was really lucky to get the blacksmith's hammer in one go. Now you know how to use this hammer, right? Wang Zhong walked over and asked. Yi Qianqian nodded. She was still digesting the information about the hammer in her mind. Blacksmith's hammer. Professional weapon attack. Swing the hammer and release a strong pressure. It can break the defense and also form a pressure defense. Blacksmith profession. With blueprints and materials, it can create any iron weapon. Blueprints already owned. 1. Sharp broadsword blueprint, requires 10 pounds of iron. 2. Sharp dagger blueprint, requires 3 pounds of iron, 10 grams of plastic. 3. Crossbow stainless steel 5 pounds. 4. Bow and arrow stainless steel 8 pounds. Yi Qianqian was very strange. She only had a hammer. How could she casually create these things? Currently, this hammer was placed in the otherworldly space equipment slot that she got from the lottery. When she got the hammer, she also got 4 blueprints. According to her understanding, if she wanted to get other blueprints, she had to increase her blacksmith proficiency. After listening to Yi Qianqian's explanation, Wang Zhong's heart moved. He nodded and said, Blacksmith proficiency, you can try to create a few weapons first. I'll try. Yi Qianqian went downstairs. There were a lot of scrap metal and useless furniture in the storeroom downstairs. She held a pile of iron, and with a thought, the blacksmith's hammer smashed towards a pile of iron. The hammer seemed to have some kind of magical power. The moment it smashed down, before it even touched the pile of junk, a piece of iron abruptly changed its shape into the shape of a knife. She continued to smash, 5 times in a row, and a brand new broadsword appeared in her hand. At the same time, a prompt appeared in Yi Qianqian's mind, blacksmith proficiency +1. After successfully creating a weapon, It seems that the blacksmith proficiency will increase. Good, you can create more weapons. Create a crossbow. Currently he didn't have a gun, so he could only start with a crossbow. This skill of Yi Qianqian's would be very useful for his team in the future. Of course, he would let her practice more. In the future, it would be wonderful if she could equip an entire army with weapons. Yi Qianqian nodded and began to work. As for Wang Zhong, he said to Yi Jingjing and Aunt Li, "If you want to live, you have to kill the monsters and zombies outside and get the crystals." Chapter 325. Hunting zombies. Hearing this word, Yi Jingjing's face was full of fear. Sure enough, before obtaining powerful strength, even the most powerful person in the future would be a coward at this time. You guys will follow behind me and be responsible for cutting open the zombies' heads to get the crystals. Do you understand? I think I understand, Aunt Li said. I want to go out. After dealing with the zombies in an area, you guys can go and dig for the crystals. After Wang Zhong finished speaking, he opened the car door and drove out. Fortunately, this was a good neighborhood. The road here was very wide. Driving a big truck was not a problem. Many people in the neighborhood were still running for their lives. At this time, a couple in pajamas rushed out of a villa. The couple's clothes were stained with blood. Behind them, there were 3 cleaning aunties in maids' clothes chasing after them. This kind of scene was too common. Wang Zhong did not even blink his eyes. At present, he had not grown to the point where he had absolute strength, so he was not interested in saving anyone. Driving the truck, he almost ran into a group of zombies in the neighborhood. A sturdy truck was definitely a good weapon to attack zombies. Of course, another reason was that there were no strong monsters in this place. Otherwise, even a tank would have a hard time here. In my previous life, although I starved to death, but in this life, I want to become stronger. Stepping on the gas pedal, a large group of zombies finally fell to the ground. Help, help, an anxious voice came. Wang Zhong certainly would not casually save anyone. When he was about to leave, he glanced in the rearview mirror. His eyebrows twitched. It turned out to be this person. Qin Ling was seriously injured. After that, he treated her for a while. Save me, Qin Ling cried and ran over. Behind her, there were 7 or 8 wolf beasts. Although these wolf beasts were about the same size as ordinary wolves, their bite force was very fierce. With one bite, they could easily bite through a person's bones. This woman was actually chased by wolf beasts before. I really don't know how she escaped. Since she was an acquaintance, Wang Zhong decided to save her. After stopping the car, he climbed onto the roof of the car and aimed his crossbow at one of the wolf beasts. Although these wolf beasts were ferocious, their speed was not fast. 3 consecutive crossbow bolts nailed 3 wolf beasts to the ground. Get in. Wang Zhong jumped out of the car and opened the door of the passenger seat. Qin Ling rushed into the front passenger seat in a panic. Save me. Unexpectedly, as soon as they entered the car, Qin Ling screamed. Pa! Wang Zhong slapped him. Shut the F***ck up if you want to live. Who knew Qin Ling? But if Qin Ling dared to delay him at this time, then he wouldn't mind ending her. Their friendship wasn't deep anyway, so it didn't matter to him. Qin Ling stood there motionless. The wolf beast behind him had already jumped onto the car window and was howling desperately. Fortunately, the outside of the car windows were welded with metal frames. With the strength of these wolf beasts, it was impossible for them to open the windows. Wang Zhong held a short knife in his hand and stabbed the wolf beast lying outside the window. After 5 consecutive stabs, several wolf beasts were hit in the head and fell to the ground. Thank you. My name is Qin Ling. Qin Ling regained her senses and looked at the boy who looked like he was only 14 years old with fear. Although he was young, his eyes and attitude were very domineering. Qin Ling was a few years older than Yi Qianqian, but her temperament was weak and her voice was very soft. Wang Zhong couldn't help but glance at her and said, My name is Wang Yan. I'm not a good person. If I save you, you have to listen. If you don't listen, then I can only let you get out of the car. Do you understand? I understand. Qin Ling lowered her head as tears fell from the corner of her eyes. She understood that the world in front of her was different. At this time, she had to listen because Wang Yan was her protector. Whatever Wang Yan said she had to do. And, as long as you listen. Wang Zhong was expressionless. I wonder what happened to my family? Qin Ling looked at the countless corpses outside and trembled. Regarding Qin Ling's family, Wang Zhong had already heard from her when he was treating her in his previous life. After obtaining some special power, Qin Ling specially went home. Her brother, sister and parents had all turned into zombies at home. Therefore, Wang Zhong didn't pay attention to her and only comforted her. There are too many monsters outside. When I have time, I will go to your house to take a look. As long as they didn't turn into zombies, I believe they are all hiding at home. Zizizi. The car quickly stopped in front of a villa. There was also an exchange point in this villa, but it was only level 2. He wanted to occupy this place and then try his luck. Looking around, he secretly gathered a trace of internal energy in his heart. Although it was very weak, but with this trace of internal energy, he was already much stronger than ordinary people. Help, please save us. Upstairs, a fat man wearing pajamas shouted. My 6 servants have all turned into zombies. My wife and 3 daughters have also turned into zombies. Please save me. There was a large iron gate outside this place, so the zombies and monsters had not rushed in yet. Get out of the car, Wang Zhong said to Qin Ling, and got out of the car. You want to save people? Qin Ling looked around worriedly. Giving Qin Ling a machete to defend herself, Wang Zhong said, there is something more important than this. Pushing open the iron gate, Wang Zhong and Qin Ling walked into the villa. As soon as they entered, they saw a large pool of blood on the ground. In the early days of the apocalypse, although some people didn't turn into zombies, if they were unlucky, they would be bitten by the infected people around them. Obviously, the scene in front of them was like that. There was a lot of blood, and walking on it was slippery, making people uncomfortable. A maid zombie standing on the stairs suddenly turned her head and rushed towards them. Close the door, Wang Zhong shouted at Qin Ling behind him, and rushed forward without any hesitation. At this time, ding ding dang dang noises came from upstairs. Obviously, something happened upstairs. However, Wang Zhong didn't have the heart to save people. Even if he wanted to save people now, he would only save his old acquaintances. After all, in his previous life, he heard from Yi Qianqian that there were a lot of people in their camp. But because there were too many people, it was difficult to manage, so there was internal strife and a lot of people died. Therefore, in this life, Wang Zhong made up his mind. It was impossible to save people, so he could only do this kind of work. He and Qin Ling slowly walked up the stairs. Before they went up, they heard the man from before roaring. Son, what are you doing? What are you doing? Ah. In an instant the man screamed. Wang Zhong frowned. What happened upstairs? After going upstairs, Wang Zhong saw clearly. A zombie was biting the middle-aged man with all its might. At the door, a thin boy looked at this scene in horror. When he heard the footsteps behind him, he turned his head to look at Wang Zhong and Qin Ling. Help, help, my dad was bitten, the thin boy screamed. It's so strange. Logically speaking, the door was closed, and the door wasn't broken. Why did it suddenly open? Qin Ling was careful and found something wrong. Wang Zhong calmly stared at the thin and weak male student, before replying in an indifferent tone. Only he can answer this question. What are you talking about? Hurry up and save my dad. He was bitten by a zombie. The thin boy screamed. Wang Zhong's gaze swept across his surroundings, before he suddenly smiled. There were 3 dead bodies on the ground. These 3 corpses, without exception, had their brains dug out, and the crystal was taken away. This guy's action is quite fast. Wang Zhong stared at the boy who looked to be in his early 20s and asked, where is the crystal in the zombie's brain? Wang Zhong's words made the boy slightly stunned. He originally thought that this secret was only known to him. When the zombies broke out, only he and his father survived. Later, his mother turned into a zombie. In a moment of desperation, he cracked open his mother's head. He didn't expect to find a crystal by accident. Then he found the white light in the room. When he reached out, he found the exchange points. At this point, he knew the use of the crystal. So he took out the crystal from the zombie upstairs. But it was not enough. He looked at his dad. As long as he also became a zombie, he would have one more crystal. He could exchange it for good things. Well, what crystal? The thin boy's eyes evaded. Whoosh! Wang Zhong did not talk nonsense with him. An arrow shot at the thin boy's thigh without hesitation. Ah! The excruciating pain made him unable to speak. He was trembling from the pain. I'll talk. Although the thin boy said so, he suddenly took out a small and exquisite pistol from his back. Tranquilizer pistol, functional weapon. The tranquilizer bullet could paralyze a wolf beast, provided that it could break through its defense. This guy was staking everything. If he didn't die, he would definitely be a character in the future. However, it was a pity that Wang Zhong wouldn't give him a chance to live. He reached out and pulled. Qin Ling, who did not react, was suddenly pulled in front of him. Ah! Qin Ling cried out in alarm, and then she felt her body go limp. Sigh, since ancient times, beautiful women have short lives, Qin Ling sighed, feeling sad for her fate. Don't kill me, don't. The thin boy was really scared at this time. Anyway, you're not afraid of death. I'll let you feed the zombies. Wang Zhong naturally did not kill him. Wouldn't it be too easy to kill him? It's better to let him become a zombie, and let him have one more crystal. 10 minutes later, Wang Zhong dealt with the zombies in the room. After helping Qin Ling to the bed, Wang Zhong counted his harvest. 15 crystals. The main reason was that he did not collect the zombie corpses along the way. Otherwise, he would have gotten more. Walking to the second exchange point, Wang Zhong reached out his hand. Last time, he did not have the chance to come here. This time, he wanted to try his luck at this exchange point. The screen flickered. A short and neat dagger. Chapter 326. Having a reward was always better than having no reward. Wang Zhong weighed the dagger in his hand, and a line of words appeared in his mind. Short and capable dagger, functional weapon. Although the dagger is short and capable, it is extremely sharp. When necessary, it can shoot a flying dagger by pressing the button on it. Note: the dagger will be damaged after the flying dagger is shot. So it's a one-time use item, but in an emergency, this dagger can come in handy. As Wang Zhong spoke, a prompt appeared in his mind. Do you wish to fuse with the body? Fusing with the body required a different dimension. Fusing with the body meant that even if he lost the equipment, others would not be able to use it. Yi Qianqian's hammer and Auntie Li's broom had such characteristics. As for the different dimension, it could only store equipment from the game. There were two ways to obtain the different dimension. One was to buy it directly, which required 100 crystals. Although the price was expensive, it was very convenient to store the weapon in the different dimension. It also had the effect of surprise and sudden attack. The other way was to get it from the lottery. Unfortunately, everyone's luck was different. Wang Zhong did not choose to fuse with the body. On the one hand, there was no different dimension. On the other hand, it was not necessary. The weapon was not big. Because this was a level 2 exchange point, the number of lottery required was only 7 crystals. So, he could still draw one more time. Wang Zhong clicked on the lottery. The items on the screen were dazzling. There were a total of hundreds of items. However, the quality of the items on the screen was obviously not as good as the level 3 exchange point. Wang Zhong clearly remembered that although he did not spend much time in Yi Qianqian's camp in his previous life, according to their description, he understood that the level 3 exchange point was already considered a very good exchange point. However, it was not impossible to go further up. A woman who escaped said that her former boss's exchange point was much brighter and bigger than Yi Qianqian's. Unfortunately, for some reason, that place attracted a flying snake one night. The camp was suddenly in chaos. In the end, the entire team dispersed just like that. I don't know how many good exchange points there are. However, in the early stages, good exchange points are not easy to develop. Good exchange points require a lot of crystals. In the early stages, ordinary people can't get that many crystals. As Wang Zhong thought about this, he placed the remaining crystals in his hands on the table. The lottery screen shook, and soon a potion bottle appeared. Strength increasing potion, strengthening potion. After consumption, it will strengthen the body according to the individual's physique. There are no side effects. I didn't expect my luck to be so good here. Wang Zhong was very happy, very happy. In his previous life, Yi Qianqian and the others had become stronger not only because of their equipment, but also because of the potions. There were many types of enhancement potions. For example, blacksmiths like Yi Qianqian could use skill-enhancing potions. For those who were slower, they could still increase their speed after taking a speed elixir. This type of potion wasn't cheap either. Getting a strength-increasing potion this time was a good thing for Wang Zhong. At present, he had not reached a very strong level of strength in his cultivation. Increasing his strength in a short period of time was very important for his wretched development in the early stage. Without any hesitation, he consumed the strength-enhancing potion. The potion was green in color and tasted slightly sweet. Wang Zhong quietly sensed one side of his body. He felt his muscles squirming, and there was a force inside that was rapidly attacking his heart. Power. This was the feeling of a domineering power. This feeling was different from the power of qi. Qi was like a sixth limb. It was similar to internal strength, but it wouldn't change the body's strength. Once the qi was gone, the body would be as weak as before. But the power of this potion was the power of muscle expansion. In his previous life, Wang Zhong didn't have time to take this potion. This gave him a different experience. Soon, the impurities in his body were expelled along with his sweat, followed by the feeling of strength. No wonder in my previous life, a few women without any equipment were so strong and didn't need a man's strength. It seems that these people all took this potion. At this moment, Qin Ling had not woken up, so Wang Zhong went out to continue hunting zombies. Aunt Li and Yi Jingjing took the crossbow and broadsword made by Yi Qianqian. Under Wang Zhong's command, they dug out the crystals in the zombies' brains. For the next 3 days, Wang Zhong took Yi Jingjing and Aunt Li to hunt zombies in the neighborhood. The harvest was very good. They got more than 200 crystals in one go. Of course, these crystals weren't all from zombies. Some of them were from ordinary monsters. Under Wang Zhong's signal, Yi Jingjing and Aunt Li also started to draw their prizes. Aunt Li successfully got the broom. As for Yi Jingjing's prize, Wang Zhong was surprised. It was the sharpshooter's eye. Sharpshooter's eye, auxiliary equipment. Aim and shoot with this eye. The accuracy is above 99%. No wonder Yi Jingjing was so good at shooting the crossbow in my previous life. So this is it. Seeing that his little brothers were quite strong, Wang Zhong was also very happy. Of course, the few of them had just gotten their equipment, so they weren't that strong yet. Wang Zhong bought mineral water for the rest of the crystals. He drank water to replenish his qi and increase his qi. Next, it's time to save Anai Shaoqin. The first time he met Anai Shaoqin was the 3rd day after the disaster, which was today. It was early in the morning. Wang Zhong said, "You guys stay in the villa today. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to pick someone up." These people were still at a very trashy stage in terms of courage and strength. Wang Zhong did not want them to drag him down. This time, in addition to driving the truck, Wang Zhong also put an electric scooter in the trunk. Before the apocalypse, he had already charged Emma's electric scooter and added 2 more sets of batteries. The range could reach up to 100 kilometers. It was enough for him to pick up Anai Shaoqin. "Anai Shaoqin, wait for me. I'm coming." The truck started and rushed out of the district. This section of the road was not busy. There were not many cars parked outside the district, so it was easy to drive. However, when approaching the Heavenly Court district, the number of cars suddenly increased. This was not strange. Wang Zhong remembered that in his previous life, the military came here to pick people up. Therefore, this place was blocked. He just did not expect the road to be blocked for so long. "I can only ride in." It could be seen that the military came here to pick people up. The surrounding monsters and zombies were swept away, so the road was very quiet. After getting out of the car, Wang Zhong locked the door to prevent people from stealing the car. "Let's move." Wang Zhong turned the electric scooter's handle, and the car rushed out. There was a lot of debris on the ground. However, the electric scooter relied on its small size and 2 wheels to ride on the road with ease. There was still some distance to the Heavenly Court district. Suddenly, there was a burst of gunfire in the distance. Da-da-da. At the same time, bats flew back and forth in the sky. Many people were directly caught by the bats and thrown to the ground. It seems like we won't make it in time. Wang Zhong frowned. The road was too difficult to travel. The closer he got to the Heavenly Court district, the harder it was to travel. There were a few times when he had to carry the electric scooter. When he arrived at the district, the military had already evacuated. In the distance, a few large beasts were pouncing on them. It seemed that things were not looking good for them. Wang Zhong entered the district. At that moment, some people began to pick up wooden sticks and other things to defend themselves. Another familiar scene appeared in front of him. Wang Zhong looked around, but did not see the brawny man or Anai Xiaoqin. Seems like I'm late by about 5 minutes. According to the trajectory of my previous life, if the brawny man did not die, he and Anai Xiaoqin should have escaped into the building. Wang Zhong did not deal with the bats. Instead, he quietly entered the building. As soon as he entered, Wang Zhong heard a scream. Help! No! Sob, sob, sob. Don't! Rip! Along with the scream for help, there was also the sound of clothes being torn. When Wang Zhong heard it, his heart skipped a beat. This voice, wasn't it Anai Xiaoqin's? The location of the scream was on the first floor, room 103. Wang Zhong rushed to the door. The door was locked. Bang! Effortlessly, Wang Zhong kicked open the door to the room. The scene in front of him made his eyes bleed. The pitiful Anai Xiaoqin's shirt was torn open, revealing a small camisole. Her right cheek was obviously slapped, and it was swollen. Wang Zhong's heart ached when he saw it. Other than that, there were 2 corpses. Wang Zhong recognized the 2 corpses. They were 2 elderly people who lived alone here. At that moment, both of their brains were bleeding. It was obvious that they were on the verge of death. This person was truly vicious and merciless. Who is it? The brawny man suddenly turned his head and raised his eyebrows. Where did this little bastard come from? Your grandpa is doing something. Get lost. Wang Zhong stared at this person and walked towards him step by step. In his previous life, it was this person who made him unlucky. This time he wanted to teach him a lesson. Wang Zhong clenched his fist and said coldly, "It's time to avenge my broken bones." Broken bones? Wang Zhong's words made the brawny man confused, but it didn't matter. This 14-year-old brat was too inexperienced. He was confident that he could teach him a lesson with one punch. You're courting death. The brawny man suddenly threw a punch at Wang Zhong's face. Wang Zhong didn't dodge. Instead, he sent out a punch. Bang! When the fists collided, the brawny man's heart skipped a beat. An intense pain rose from the bottom of his heart. Painful, so painful. It was obvious that his hand was broken. Ah! The brawny man held his head and kept retreating. Wang Zhong picked up the machete and stabbed the brawny man's stomach. Puff! The white knife went in, and the red knife came out. Wang Zhong didn't kill him. Instead, he kicked him outside and fed him to 2 passing zombies. People who don't listen should become zombies and harvest the crystals in their brains. Are you okay? After the matter was settled, Wang Zhong walked into the room. Anai Xiaoqin was like a blind person. Her hands kept groping and crying. Whoa, that person, what happened to that person? Thank you for saving me. I'm short-sighted. I can't see clearly. Chapter 327. Looking at Anai Xiaoqin's blind appearance, Wang Zhong smiled and took out a pair of spectacles he had prepared beforehand. Opening the case, he shoved the spectacles into Anai Xiaoqin's hands. Here, I just happen to have a pair of spectacles with me. Thank you, big brother. Anai Xiaoqin quickly put on the glasses and looked at the person in front of her. She realized that it was a young man. Thank you, I'm Anai Xiaoqin. I'm Wang Yan. Wang Zhong awkwardly pointed at Anai Xiaoqin's torn camisole. Do you want to change your clothes first? I'm sorry. Anai Xiaoqin's face was bright red, but she was quite cute. Wang Zhong could not help but recall the scene of Anai Xiaoqin's head being hung on the front of a car in his previous life. At that time, when he saw her head, he suddenly realized that his heart was also very sad. In this life, I won't let you die so miserably, Wang Zhong thought to himself. While Enai Xiaoqin was looking for clothes in the house, Wang Zhong came to the window and looked at everything that was happening outside. Most of the living people had either fled or hidden, leaving only a few bats on the ground, eating the flesh of the corpses on the ground. Since he had a lot of crossbows, Wang Zhong took a deep breath and locked onto the bats not far away. Whoosh! A crossbow arrow was shot out. He had been secretly practicing his archery skills for the past few years. Although his aim was not as good as Yi Jingjing, who had the sharpshooter's eye, it was still not bad. At such a close distance, a bat's head was immediately shot and died on the spot. Following that, Wang Zhong began to hunt down bats. The reason was simple. The crystals in the bats' heads were more precious than those of zombies. According to his understanding, zombies' crystals were the smallest and were called level 1 in his previous life. But the crystals in the bats' heads were level 3. A level 3 crystal was equivalent to 30 level 1 crystals, so it was very precious. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, one by one, the bats were killed. After killing more than 20 bats, Wang Zhong saw that most of the bats outside had left. Only then did he stop. There were a lot of dead bodies outside. Wang Zhong found a travel bag in the house and tossed it to Enai Xiaoqin. Enai Xiaoqin, do you want to live? I want to. Enai Xiaoqin's voice was soft but firm. All right then, follow me. Do whatever I tell you to do later. Enai Xiaoqin nodded slightly. Although the boy in front of her was young, he gave her a feeling of trust. Moreover, from the scene of him shooting the arrow, this person seemed to know what was going on with the apocalypse. However, she was smart enough not to ask too much. Firstly, she wanted to leave a good impression on Wang Zhong. Secondly, now was not the time to ask about the situation. Walking out of the building, there were only a few zombies left eating the corpses. There were no other monsters in the area. It was probably due to the presence of the bats that some of the smaller monsters did not dare to come near. Poochie! Wang Zhong cleaved open the zombie's head with his blade, revealing a glittering golden crystal. Do you see this thing? Wang Zhong pointed at the crystal and asked Enai Xiaoqin. Yes, I see it. How can there be such a thing in the heads of these corpses? Enai Xiaoqin was in disbelief. This thing is called a crystal. Don't ask now. When you see the corpses and the bats on the ground, use a knife to cut their heads and take out the crystal. Enai Xiaoqin nodded in confusion. I understand. Very good. Enai Xiaoqin's temper was quite to Wang Zhong's liking. The two of them began to dig the crystal together. At this time, in an office building opposite, a group of desperate people noticed the situation here. This group of people had escaped from the battle just now. There were more than 40 of them. Monsters, why are there such big bats? My wife and children are still at home. What should we do now? Even the army has been beaten away. What should we do? The office was filled with a sad atmosphere. Many people in this group wanted to leave, but they did not dare to. Hey, downstairs in the neighborhood opposite, what are those two doing? At the window, a middle-aged woman exclaimed. The group of people quickly climbed to the window and saw two teenagers chopping off the heads of the zombies on the ground. That's strange. What are they doing? Maybe they are killing the zombies. These two youngsters are quite brave. Since they have gone out, let's go out too. My family is still at home. If you want to go, then go. No one is stopping you. In the crowd, a tall man sneered. The people who were scolded stopped talking. Although they wanted to go home, they were more afraid of being attacked by monsters. It had not been long since the disaster happened. In their hearts, they still believed that someone would come to save them. For the next few days, Wang Zhong did not plan to return to the villa. The reason was simple. There were many bat and zombie corpses here. These were quite a lot of wealth. Of course, he had to collect them properly. At night, after Wang Zhong and Enai Xiaoqin had a simple meal, Wang Zhong asked Enai Xiaoqin to rest well. He carried his bag and walked out alone. Night was the time when the bats would move out. He needed to hunt these big bats and obtain more level 3 crystals. Walala! In the sky, huge bats were circling the top of the building. At this time, these bats were using sound waves to search for prey. Once they heard the sound, these bats would fly over and attack. On the third floor of the opposite office building, more than 40 survivors had been hiding here for a day. During this period, there were people who left. But when they reached the second floor, they encountered a group of zombies on that floor. They were so scared that they retreated. In order to survive, the strongest person here brought 2 friends and some volunteers to search for food on this floor. Fortunately, there was a kitchen on this floor. They found a lot of rice and noodles, enough for them to survive for a month. Listen up. Although we have enough food now, we can't go on like this. The strong man glanced at the people present. His 2 friends followed behind him. So let's pack up the food and leave here. Friend, if you want to leave, you can leave. A middle-aged man wearing glasses said. Yes, let's wait here for help. You can stay, but we will take the food. Why? That's right. Who are you? Because I Zhang Dada, am the strongest here. Zhang Dada was the fitness trainer in this building. Therefore his muscles were very strong. Do you still want to talk about the law? You want to take the food away? Have you asked the people here? The middle-aged man shouted. What? You want to fight? Zhang Dada's paralyzed face showed cruelty. He was ready to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Only by killing one person, this group of people would not dare to say anything. Chapter 328. While talking, Zhang Dada's 2 friends also supported Zhang Dada. The 3 of them were all fitness trainers here. They all had strong physiques. Their thoughts were the same. It was chaotic outside. If they waited here, they would die sooner or later. It was better to leave here as soon as possible and go to the countryside, because the countryside was vast and sparsely populated, and they could be self-sufficient in food and necessities. Only then could they live a better life. Unexpectedly, the middle-aged man's 3 colleagues also stood out. You can leave. You can also bring some food, but not too much. One of the colleagues thought for a moment and proposed a compromise. Unfortunately, Zhang Dada did not agree. For him, his goal was not food, but to bring some people downstairs. First of all, the more people there were, the better to deal with zombies. Second of all, wasn't there a very good saying? When you meet a tiger, you don't need to be stronger than the tiger. You just need to run faster than the people around you. How about this? Who wants to go downstairs? Zhang Dada shouted. If you want to go, then go. What are you talking about? The middle-aged man said unhappily. I'm talking. It's none of your business. Zhang Dada looked at the man in a bad mood. He rushed over and punched him. Bang, 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 bang. The tables and chairs in the room were knocked to the ground. The middle-aged man was angry. Although he did not have the advantage in terms of physique, it did not mean that he was a coward. He grabbed the ashtray next to him and rushed over. But at this time, a shadow suddenly rushed over from the window. Ah, the bat is here. The people in the room were instantly in a mess. Bang, bang. The next moment, the fragile glass wall was smashed by a bat that was as tall as 2 people. The bat staggered in and bit a woman who was lying under the table. Suddenly blood splashed. A large group of people hurriedly ran away, who knew that the glass wall behind them was suddenly smashed open. Suddenly 5 or 6 bats rushed in. The group of people was immediately surrounded in the same place. This group of people obviously did not know that the louder the noise, the more attractive it was to the bats. At this moment, the office was still in a mess. In the blink of an eye, the 5 or 6 people who screamed the loudest died under the bat's claws. The group of people was suddenly blocked in a corner. The huge bat slowly walked towards the group of people. At the front of the group, a pretty girl was crying. She wanted to hide in the crowd to escape from the stinky bat. But the crowd made it impossible for her to squeeze in. Help, help. The girl whimpered. Perhaps because it had just eaten an arm, the bat felt a little full, so it did not rush to bite the girl. Instead, it slowly approached the girl. The group of people hiding behind their desks all looked at the cute girl with sympathy and relief. However, no one went over. The monster was so terrifying that no one dared to act rashly. Help! The girl looked at Zhang Dada, who was not far behind her. This fitness trainer had once promised her that he loved her very much, and was willing to give up everything for her. If he could marry her, it didn't matter if the child was his or not. But now he was actually hiding in a corner. She regretted it. She couldn't help but look at a dark and short boy beside her. His name was Niufei. This boy had been her desk mate since childhood. After going to college, he had been riding a bicycle meticulously to pick her up and send her to school in the rain and wind. Until one day, this man confessed to her. But she didn't like this short, dark, and poor boy at all. So she rejected him at that time and accepted Zhang Dada, who only drove her to school for one day. But now, she didn't expect that when she was in trouble, it was this boy who stood by her side without hesitation. Guaying, I will protect you. Niufei stood in front of Guaying resolutely. He held a sharp pen in his hand and stared angrily at the approaching big bat. The group of people behind saw this scene, and their eyes were very complicated. Stupid, too stupid. For a girl, he was willing to be a scapegoat. Nowadays, there were not many people who were willing to contribute like this for free. Niufei, you. Guaying was moved. Don't say it. Niufei turned to look at Guaying and said seriously, although I have no money, short and dark, I have a heart to protect you. After that, Niufei stared at the approaching bat and was ready for the final fight. For the woman he loved. Although the woman he loved had already been with someone else, he didn't care. He believed that his sincerity could move her. I hope I can survive and let Guaying know my goodness. Just when he was ready to fight desperately, an accident happened. Bang! The locked door was suddenly knocked open, so that a group of bats in the room heard the sound and looked over. Quack, quack! The bats cried together to inform their companions that someone appeared. The person who rushed in was naturally Wang Zhong. When downstairs, he noticed a group of bats flying here, and many bats were lying on the window, so he concluded that there was a sound in the room, which attracted the bat's attention. The crystal in the bat's brain was the easiest high-level crystal for him to get, so he went upstairs directly. Of course, there were a lot of zombies downstairs, but the zombies now posed no threat to him. The key point was that zombies couldn't climb stairs. In the movies, zombies could run and climb stairs, but in reality, even a small stone could trip them. Rushing into the room, Wang Zhong didn't look at them, but chopped at the nearest bat with the machete. Then he quickly shot at the biggest bat with the crossbow in his hand. Puff! The bat's head was directly penetrated, and it fell to the ground. The remaining bats were certainly not easy to deal with, and they all rushed to him. But Wang Zhong was prepared. He flashed, jumped to the side of the table and stood still. The bats were like blind people scurrying in the room. Taking advantage of these opportunities, Wang Zhong's crossbow shot at them one by one. Soon, a group of bats in the room all fell down. Keep your voice down. If you attract bats, you can solve it by yourself later. Wang Zhong's voice was cold, and then he began to cut the things in the bat's brain one by one and collected them. Young man, thank you for saving us. Thank you so much. You are really our savior. By the way, how did you come up? Have you solved all the zombies downstairs? A group of people came over. Although Wang Zhong hated the feeling of being surrounded by people, he wasn't a cruel and merciless person. He wouldn't lay his hands on innocent people. So he responded indifferently. The zombies downstairs are solved. If you want to leave, do it as soon as possible. That's great. A group of people cried with joy. Then let's go quickly. At this time, Zhang Dada raised his arm and shouted excitedly. He originally thought that he was going to die, but he didn't expect that someone would come to save him. But he had some doubts in his heart. Why did this young man take the machete and look for the crystals in the heads of these bats? What was his purpose? Although he felt strange in his heart, he was not going to stay here. He said to Guaying beside him, "Let's go." At this time, Niufei went to Zhang Dada. Zhang Dada was happy and said, "You were very brave just now. Thank you for standing in front of my girlfriend. I also wanted to save her, but I was squeezed inside and couldn't get out." Niufei was not stupid. Naturally, he knew how perfunctory Zhang Dada's expression was. But he couldn't say anything. In essence, Niufei was an introverted person. He gritted his teeth and said, "Originally, I came to you this time to say that I was going to leave here. Before I leave, Mr. Zhang." Niu Fei suddenly reached out and stuffed the condom in his hand into Zhang Dada's hand. Please treat her well. Taking medicine is bad for her body. And there are so many monsters outside. Please don't make her pregnant. She is weak and can't stand the tossing. Please treat her gently. Tears dripped from Niu Fei's eyes. The iron-blooded man really cried at this moment. Zhang Dada was also very moved. He was a good man. He nodded. Don't worry, I am very gentle. Unexpectedly, Guang shook off Zhang Dada's hand at this time. Guang Yu. Zhang Dada, let's break up. In the crisis just now, Guang had recognized Zhang Dada's character. Oh okay, you want to break up with me. You don't want to sit in the Mercedes-Benz, do you? Chapter 329. Wang Zhong glanced at Zhang Dada indifferently, shook his head and said unhappily, Get out. He didn't need to be polite to these people. Zhang Dada was not annoyed when he was rejected. He smiled and said, I have money. Are you an idiot? Do you think money is useful here? Zhang Dada was stunned and said, Although money is useless in this case, it will be useful when the army solves the problem here. Get out. Okay. Zhang Dada smiled. But he was more and more envious of Wang Zhong's weapon. He didn't like to play with knives and guns, but now they were surrounded by monsters. At present, he only had a small and exquisite fruit knife in his hand, which was useless. But with the weapon in Wang Zhong's hand, it was different. He wanted to get the things in Wang Zhong's hand more and more, and he couldn't suppress the thoughts in his heart. Suddenly he thought of a problem. When he passed by him, he was so close, and he was still smashing the bodies of those bats on the ground. Could he take the opportunity to attack him? As soon as this idea appeared, it was like planting a devil's seed in his heart, which made him want to implement it more and more. Wang Zhong really didn't know that the person he just saved would want to kill him. He was still chopping the bodies of the bats on the ground, and had dug out 3 crystals. These crystals were quite big, but the bat's head was much harder than that of the zombies, so it was a little difficult to chop it. When he was about to kill the 4th bat, suddenly, Zhang Dada behind him turned his head and stabbed Wang Zhong's waist with the knife he had prepared. This was also because he didn't know how to stab people. For him, he could just stab Wang Zhong casually and leave here immediately. Little brother, be careful. Niu Fei noticed the scene and hurriedly shouted, Damn, this guy is really annoying. Zhang Dada's eyes were cold, but he had already started. He had no way back. This person must die. He would leave here after grabbing the weapon. You want to die? Although Wang Zhong didn't look back, now he had strength, and his perception ability was not comparable to ordinary people. Pa! Without even turning his head, Wang Zhong easily grabbed Zhang Dada's arm. Ugh! Zhang Dada was stunned and instinctively tried to break free from Wang Zhong's grasp. However, the arm's strength that he was so proud of was powerless in front of this 14-year-old youth at this moment. Kacha! Wang Zhong turned around coldly. Without any hesitation, he exerted force with his fingers and snapped it. Zhang Dada's arm, which was holding the knife, was directly broken. Woo-woo! Wah-wah! Zhang Dada screamed. His originally rosy face suddenly turned deathly pale. The 2 friends behind him were frightened by Wang Zhong's ruthless methods and quickly retreated. My hand, my hand. Although the other party was begging for mercy, Wang Zhong's heart was already as hard as steel. He was really speechless at Zhang Dada. He wanted his weapon, and even wanted to kill him. Such a person could not be left alive. This person's screams will definitely attract the bats. If you want to escape, quickly go downstairs. Wang Zhong shouted to a group of stunned people. Thank you. A group of people quickly thanked him and left. Why don't you go? At this time, Wang Zhong saw Niu Fei in the crowd. This guy was still standing in the hall. There are so many bats. Let's go together. It's dangerous. Niu Fei said with some stupidity. Wang Zhong was amused by this person's stupidity and said, No need. You can go down. But, don't you understand? Hurry up. Wang Zhong reprimanded. Dainu, let's go downstairs. Guang looked at Wang Zhong with some fear. Guang, save me. Save me. I'm your husband, Zhang Dada. Have you forgotten what you said last time when we got a room? You said you would do anything for me. Zhang Dada shouted at the top of his lungs, only hoping that Guo-ing could save him. Unfortunately, after what happened before, how could Guo-ing save him? So he quickly went downstairs with Niu Fei. At the same time, bats flew down. Go! Wang Zhong kicked Zhang Dada to the ground. The crossbow arrow shot straight into his leg and nailed him to the ground. No, I know I'm wrong. I know. Zhang Dada shouted at the top of his lungs. Wang Zhong hid behind a desk and looked at this scene with no expression. The louder Zhang Dada shouted, the more useful it was for him, because this could attract a group of bats and let him kill them one by one. At this time, more than a dozen bats flew in. It was too easy to deal with these blind bats. As long as they didn't make a sound, these bats were simply live targets. After a night of hard work, Wang Zhong slaughtered more than 80 bats in this office hall. There were so many that the school bag he brought couldn't hold them. As for Zhang Dada, he had already been eaten until only his head was left. After that, Wang Zhong found a large woven bag in the office and put it all in. He carried the school bag on his back and the luggage bag on his shoulder and began to go downstairs. Just downstairs, to Wang Zhong's surprise, Niu Fei and Guo-ing didn't leave. At this time they greeted him. You haven't left yet? Wang Zhong didn't say a word and continued to walk. Little brother, my name is Niu Fei. This is Guo-ing. Well, what's the matter? Well, I see you are collecting these things. If possible, we can help you collect them. After Niu Fei finished speaking, Guo-ing next to him sensibly dragged a large woman's bag, which was bulging. Little brother, Niu Fei said that you have been digging these things, which may be useful to you. We didn't sleep last night. We have been downstairs, taking these things from the dead zombies' heads. Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows, which made him quite surprised. You've done well. Wang Zhong revealed a smile. He liked people who were sensible. You can't carry it alone. Let's help you? Niu Fei asked tentatively. In theory, Wang Zhong was not willing to accept anyone except those acquaintances in the previous life. Because in the end of the world, people's hearts were unknown. Except for those who understood, who knew what these people really thought. However, Niu Fei was quite honest, which could be seen from his previous series of practices. After thinking about it, Wang Zhong decided to give him a chance. After all, the efficiency of collecting crystals by himself was very low, so he needed more people. Niu Fei was so honest that he could give him some advice in the future. Well, you can follow me, but listen. You must listen to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Although Wang Zhong looked very young, Niu Fei didn't dare to underestimate him at all. He nodded quickly and said, We just want to live. What do you want us to do? We will be obedient. Very well, let's go now. Wang Zhong went back along the original road. Today there were a few scattered wolf beasts on the street, but they were not big in size. So far, the bat group had not occupied this place, so there were still some monsters nearby. The three of them bent over and entered the community building. Anai Xiaoqin had already seen Wang Zhong from the window, so she quickly opened the door for them. Wang Zhong introduced the three people and said, Your task is not to kill zombies. You just need to be responsible for looking for this thing. He took out the crystal from the bag and showed it to them. I understand. Niu Fei's mind was very simple. Since he followed Wang Zhong, he would do whatever Wang Zhong said. Guo-ing curiously picked up the crystal and asked, What's the use of this thing? When the time is right, I will tell you. Wang Zhong took the crystal. For these two people, Wang Zhong was still on guard. He needed to observe how these two people were. Oh, Guo-ing nodded. For the next 3 days, Wang Zhong took them to collect the crystals of nearby zombies and some small monsters. Finally, a total of 8 luggage bags were full. Finally, Wang Zhong took the 3 people and pulled these things to the truck. Well, today is the last day of searching, and then we will leave. This morning after packing up, Wang Zhong was not ready to collect the crystals. He aimed at the nearby pharmacy and some food. He was not ready to take the risk of the shop with the insects, so he looked at another pharmacy. After collecting the medicine, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The 4 of them only had some porridge in the morning. Under such high-intensity work, They were so hungry that their chests were sticking to their backs. But under Wang Zhong's order, including in Ai Shaoqin, they did not dare to complain. Well, the things are ready. Let's go here to eat something. Wang Zhong pointed at a small restaurant opposite the pharmacy that sold chicken stew. The chicken pot was closed. It was estimated that people ran away on the day of the disaster. But Wang Zhong concluded that there should be ingredients here. So he walked over and pried open the shutter door. After entering the house, Wang Zhong searched around the house. Sure enough, he found the alcohol stove used by this shop, as well as some chicken meat placed in the fridge. There were many side dishes in the kitchen, and all the ingredients were available. Although there was no air conditioning in the refrigerator, because only a few days had passed, the meat inside was not bad. Wang Zhong took out a big fat chicken and asked Guaying to cook. This woman did the least in the operation just now. Wang Zhong would not spoil her like Niu Fei. You cook the chicken pot. We will move these ingredients to the car. Wang Zhong ordered. Wang Yan, let me do these. Niu Fei seemed to care about Guaying. He was not even willing to let Guaying do this little work. Wang Zhong stared. You do everything. Does that mean that she doesn't need to be here? Niu Fei suddenly understood and nodded quickly. That's not what I mean. I will go to work. Although Guaying was dissatisfied with Wang Zhong, from Wang Zhong's means and the fully equipped truck, she could see that following Wang Zhong would definitely be able to survive. So he did not dare to say more. He got water from the bucket, lit the alcohol stove, and began to cook. More than an hour later, Wang Zhong and the others were almost done moving the goods, and Guaying had also finished cooking the chicken pot. For a time, the fragrance was everywhere. But at this time, a large group of people came from the distant street. Chapter 330. After the disaster, most of the people went into hiding. After so many days, some people who didn't have much food started to come out to look for food. Sung Jinxiang, the future strongman, was one of them. He was originally the leader of the gangsters around here. Before the apocalypse, he would bring some of his underlings to eat and drink. Occasionally, he would get some money from the shops along the street. Many people were afraid of their despotic power and didn't dare to talk to them. When the disaster happened, Sung Jinxiang happened to be drinking with a group of underlings at home. Luckily, this group of people survived. After hiding in the city for many days, they finally found that there were no monsters outside today. This guy finally brought them out of the hiding place. On the way, they met a group of white-collar workers nearby. This group of white-collar workers was extremely scared and had no strength to truss a chicken. Sung Jinxiang and his 5 underlings controlled this group of people. Firstly, there was strength in numbers. Secondly, he had thought about it these few days. Now that there was no social order here, although it was scary, it was also an opportunity. An opportunity to be lawless. This group of people came out this time and were starving. They originally wanted to find something to eat nearby. They didn't expect that as they walked, the smell of the chicken pot would float out and attract these people. Wang Yan, there's someone coming over. Niu Fei pointed not far away and said. Wang Zhong hadn't seen Sung Jinxiang yet, so he just said lightly, don't worry about these people. Let's eat our food. When they entered the house, the white rice had already been cooked. They scooped up the rice and began to eat the steaming hot chicken meat in the pot. The aroma of the chicken meat assailed their nostrils. It was too fragrant. These people had been eating snacks and porridge every day for the past few days. There was no oil in their stomachs. At this moment, when they ate it, it was too delicious. And a woman came in. At this time, at the door, a woman with long hair, gold-rimmed glasses, and a black office uniform stood timidly at the door. She was like a lonely woman who had no one to rely on. She said with a bitter face, That. Is there food? I can buy it with money. Wang Zhong chuckled. He guessed that the group of people knew that they wouldn't give them food, so they sent this woman to negotiate. After all, beautiful women did have some advantages sometimes. Unfortunately, Wang Zhong didn't care if you were a man or a woman. To him, he would only help if it was useful to him. Therefore, he waved his hand and said, This place is ours. If you want to find food, go somewhere else. We have money. Do you think we still need money? Wang Zhong asked. The woman gritted her teeth and suddenly knelt down. Please give us something to eat. Scram. At this time, Seng Jinxiang, who was at the door, looked unhappy. The people inside were refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Fine, I wanted to have a good talk, but since you don't know what's good for you, I can only use force. Seng Jinxiang slowly walked into the house and said casually, Friend, give me and my brother a share of this pot of rice. You can do whatever you want with this woman. How about it? These words were very explicit, and anyone could understand them. Seng Jinxiang's mouth left a faint smile. He valued this woman very much. He wanted to eat and drink to his heart's content and slowly enjoy her at night. But now, for the sake of food, he could only do this. Wang Zhong took a bite of the drumstick. In his heart, he wanted to laugh. It was really a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search. Under a freak combination of factors, he actually met Seng Jinxiang here. However, it was normal. In his previous life, this guy was also active around here. How is it? Seng Jinxiang looked at Wang Zhong in surprise, because he could see from the eyes of the people at the table that this group of people was led by this 14-year-old boy. I don't think so, Wang Zhong said without turning his head. Oh, Seng Jinxiang's temper also rose. For the sake of this young man having a crossbow, he had tried his best to be polite, but this guy still looked arrogant. Seng Jinxiang winked at a few of his subordinates, and they instantly understood. Everyone took out a small knife and slowly walked in. Kid, do you think you are powerful because you have a crossbow? Your crossbow can only shoot once at a time. We have so many people. Seng Jinxiang threatened. He hoped to see fear on Wang Zhong's face. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Wang Zhong said, You are wrong. I usually only deal with those monsters with crossbows. I don't need these to deal with you. Seng Jinxiang snorted coldly and shouted to the brothers around him, Kill him. He didn't make a move himself. As a person who had traveled extensively, his experience was very good. Wang Zhong's appearance at the moment didn't look afraid at all. This kind of person definitely had a trump card. To be on the safe side, of course, he would let the people around him make a move to test whether this kid really had the ability, or was just a fox pretending to be a tiger. Boom. Niu Fei suddenly stood up and scolded with a kitchen knife in his hand. If you dare to make a move, I will chop you. Wang Zhong also stood up. After a group of people rushed over, Wang Zhong raised his machete. Chi-chi. With two sounds, two people's necks were instantly slit. Seeing this scene, Seng Jinxiang raised his eyebrows. This guy was really powerful. What's the point of fighting? He turned around and ran. But how could Wang Zhong let him go? In the previous life, it was this person who made him so miserable. This time, he naturally wanted to teach him a lesson. Chi-chi. Two knives split two people and rushed out of the door. Seng Jinxiang ran quite fast. This was because he was often chased by some policemen. He had already exercised the characteristics of running fast. You are running quite fast. Looking at Seng Jinxiang's back, Wang Zhong's crossbow had been aimed at his back. Whoosh! The arrow was shot out. Seng Jinxiang was shot in the back and fell to the ground. Wah! A mouthful of old blood spurted out directly. Seng Jinxiang shouted in pain. Ah! Help, help! His shout attracted two zombies that were passing by. Wang Zhong stood far away as he coldly watched the scene unfold before him. No, no! The two zombies finally rushed up. Wang Zhong didn't care and went back to the house. Several of Seng Jinxiang's underlings who had just attacked had been killed by Niu Fei. They couldn't be more dead. There were more than 10 people left, 7 men and 3 women. Looking at their dress, they should have been white-collar workers working near here, before the disaster. Before the disaster, these people were very well dressed. Not only did they have a good job, but they also lived a good life and looked beautiful. However, when disaster struck, these people were all weak and powerless. If they hadn't found a place to hide in the beginning, they probably wouldn't have survived. Little brother, I beg you please save us. These 10 people saw Wang Zhong enter the house. They all knelt down and begged Wang Zhong to take them in. Get out! Chapter 331. Get lost. Wang Zhong's merciless words caused the group of kneeling people to gawk. Their eyes were puzzled, depressed, and even disappointed. These people's thoughts were still stuck in the era before the disaster. In the past, didn't they advocate that as long as everyone gives a little bit of love, the world will become a better tomorrow? But now, this person actually refused to save them. Why is this so? Wang Zhong sat down and started to eat large chunks of chicken. The group of people kneeling on the ground tried to swallow their saliva. They wanted to eat, but they didn't dare to. Little brother, my name is Yang Tianxi. As long as you take me in, I can repair cars. You can repair cars? Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. At this time, he suddenly remembered that although he didn't want to take in a group of weak people, he could still take in some skilled people. The car will definitely be useful in the future, and the car will definitely break down. Having this kind of skilled person seems to be a good thing. You people, what other unique skills do you have? Wang Zhong looked at the people kneeling on the ground and said, I can make documents. The woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses said weakly. Although I also work in the office, I have great strength. I often carry drinking water for the leaders. A strong but honest-looking man said, I can do laundry and cook. I often do it at home. Some people didn't have any skills and could only say so. Okay, the few of you stay. Wang Zhong pointed at a few people who can repair cars, carry things, and do housework to stay. There were 2 women and 3 men left. It seemed that they couldn't do anything. The woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses directly cried. Before the disaster, she didn't know how many bootlickers were around her. Now all of them were useless. For a piece of biscuit, these bootlickers dared to hit her. She was really scared. Now her only chance to live was gone. No one was willing to take her in. The rest of you get lost. Wang Zhong said to the 5 people. The rest of you come over. We will eat the leftovers later. You can eat it. Although he had taken in these people, it did not mean that they were on equal footing. Wang Zhong had just thought about it. In the future, the camp could not be run in a democratic way. After all, this world had entered a special period. In troubled times, severe laws had to be used. He decided to use a set of rules from the Great Wilderness to restrict these people. Those who weren't chosen by Wang Zhong at the door were all trembling, but they still didn't dare to leave. Big brother, please take me in. I can work, I have hands and feet, I can work. Finally, a 4-eyed man couldn't take it anymore and knelt down to beg. Yes, I'm a man. I can work too. I can learn to work. The other woman trembled and gritted her teeth. And I'll do whatever you tell me to do. This could be considered throwing caution to the wind and being shameless. The remaining woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses also cried. She quickly said, I can also learn. I eat very little. Please take me in. I'm willing to do anything. Hearing that, Wang Zhong looked over and said indifferently, It's not impossible to take you in. Thank you, big brother, thank you. Big brother, thank you so much. I knew you were a good person. A group of people started to flatter. Wang Zhong waved his hand and said, Don't flatter me. I don't listen to this. If you flatter me again, get out of here. A group of people immediately stopped talking. Wang Zhong continued, Listen, in my territory, there are 4 classes of people. Your boss, big brother. The second class of people like me have the ability to deal with monsters and zombies alone. The third class of people. Wang Zhong pointed to Yang Tianxi, who was gnawing on the chicken bones left by Niu Fei not far away, and said, Like him, he has a skill. The fourth class of people. Wang Zhong pointed to the woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses and said, Like you don't know anything. You're the 4th class of people, and also a slave in the camp. Slave. The woman looked at Wang Zhong in disbelief. You can choose not to go to my camp. Wang Zhong shrugged and said, Think about it yourself. I'll go. The 4-eyed guy gritted his teeth. But boss, as long as I can deal with zombies, even those monsters, I can also become the 2nd class of people, right? Of course, I'm very open-minded. In my territory, as long as you have the ability, you can enjoy the service of the slaves. If you don't have the ability, you can only become a slave. Wang Zhong stared at the woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses and said, "What's your name?" My name is Gu Peipei. Well, in view of Niu Fei's good performance just now, after I leave here and deal with the rest of these people, Gu Peipei, you will be Niu Fei's private property and his slave in the future. And Niu Fei is the second class of people in my camp. Do you understand? The reason he did this now was to let those who were skeptical see that what he said just now was not aimless. As long as they were obedient, not only would they be able to live well in the camp, but they would also be rewarded with beautiful women and handsome men as slaves. Guiying next to him opened her mouth, and was obviously dissatisfied. Niu Fei was also stunned. Subconsciously, he looked at Gu Peipei who was kneeling on the ground. Logically speaking, Gu Peipei was now 27 or 28 years old, 5 or 6 years older than him. But she was beautiful. In terms of appearance, Guiying was not as beautiful as Gu Peipei who had good temperament. Before the doomsday, Niu Fei did not dare to think that he could have a woman like Gu Peipei. Even Guiying, he did not dare to pursue. He could only find Zhang Dada silently and give him a box of condoms to treat Guiying well. Now, their boss actually said that he would reward Gu Peipei to him. Was this the legendary, spring was coming for him? But at this time, Guiying quietly pinched Niu Fei under the table. The purpose was self-evident. She wanted him to refuse this condition. Such a small action naturally could not escape Wang Zhong's eyes. But he did not say anything. He was testing Niu Fei. If Niu Fei accepted his gift, this person had his own ideas and could be used in the future. If he did not accept it, it meant that this person was like this. He was afraid that he could only be controlled by women in the future. This woman might not be Guiying, but she would definitely not be able to achieve great things in the future. Niu Fei was thinking, before the disaster, he was sure that he loved Guiying deeply. If someone asked him to make such a choice, he would definitely sneer and not agree. But it was different now. He was also a normal man. If there was such a choice in front of him, who would refuse? I agree. Niu Fei nodded heavily. Very good. Wang Zhong smiled. Gu Peipei, you will follow Niu Fei in the future. Wang Zhong patted Niu Fei's shoulder and said, You are the first person I appointed as a second-class person. Don't let me down. I will work hard. Niu Fei lowered his head heavily. He was very excited. At this moment, his thoughts of listening to women in the past had changed. He wanted to follow Wang Yan and make a name for himself in this doomsday. After Wang Zhong and Niu Fei finished eating, Wang Zhong pointed to the remaining dishes and said, You guys eat. Go on the road after eating. A group of people then went to eat. As for Niu Fei, he personally served a bowl of big white rice, picked up a few pieces of chicken, and handed it to Gu Peipei. You will be my slave in the future. Eat. Gu Peipei glanced at the short, frustrated and dark man. She would not even look at this kind of man before the doomsday. But now he was her master in the future. Although she refused in her heart, looking at the fragrant chicken, hunger made her reach out her hand and catch the bowl of big white rice. Thank you. Gu Peipei trembled. Then, she could not help but take a mouthful of big white rice. It was too fragrant. These days of wandering made her a fair, rich and beautiful woman who shouted to lose weight every day before the disaster. Suddenly feel that this big bowl of big white rice was so delicious. Especially the 5 pieces of chicken in the bowl. Before the disaster, she hated to eat chicken, especially this kind of chicken pot. She thought that chicken pot was not suitable for a noble woman like her. A woman like her should eat delicacies and take good care of them. How could she eat those chicken that grew up with feed? But at this moment, she felt that these chicken were the most delicious things in the world. Chapter 332. The fat woman pointed at the little girl and said sternly, What do you know? What's wrong with saving us? Society now advocates people first. Since they saved us, they should take good care of us since they are so powerful. Everyone, don't you think so? Yes. Open the door and let us eat. Eat meat, eat meat. On the balcony, Yi Qianqian, Yi Jingjing Qinling, and Auntie Li were frowning. These few days when Wang Zhong left, the four women tried to close the big iron gates around the neighborhood, and then searched the neighborhood. One day, two people rushed in and said that there were at least 30 people hiding in the big shopping mall opposite. Yi Qianqian was a good person. She immediately discussed with her sister and decided to save them. With their current strength, saving people at close range was not a problem. Therefore, they had discussed their plan of action yesterday, and at noon, they had finally rescued this group of people. They were so happy that they cried. Yi Qianqian and the rest sympathized with these people. After they were brought in, they let them live in an unoccupied villa. Originally, everyone was quite peaceful. Yi Qianqian also prepared some rice for them to eat. But at noon today, the noblewoman who led the trouble smelled the meat soup and braised fish in Yi Qianqian's house. This time, she could not stay calm. For the past few days, many people were already tired of eating white rice. They wanted to eat meat and eat something good. So this noblewoman brought people here to ask for an explanation. Why can you eat and not let us eat? Why are these people like this? Yi Jingjing was furious. We saved them out of kindness and didn't expect them to bite the hand that feeds them. If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have saved them. Auntie Li held the broom and angrily paused. Actually, they were not afraid of these people. They just did not want to hurt the innocent. In the end, they had experienced too little cruelty. Their thinking was still stuck in peacetime. Let us eat, we want to eat good food. Yes, open the door. Why can you eat good food and not let us eat? Under the instigation of this noblewoman, the group of people began to push the big iron gate. Beep, beep, beep. At this time a big truck rushed in. The group of people's faces changed and quickly moved aside. Damn, how do you drive? Are you blind? Do you want to kill someone? Perhaps these people were taking advantage of the fact that there were so many of them. They were all cursing and swearing. The door opened, and Wang Zhong slowly got out of the car. Wang Yin is back. Yi Jingjing and the others hurried downstairs. Kid, are you in cahoots with the people in the room? The rich lady stood in front of Wang Zhong with a slight smirk. Before the disaster, she was a big sister in the business world. What kind of storms had she not seen? The young man in front of her was probably still in junior high school. She could deal with this kind of brat with just a few words. She cleared her throat and prepared to give herself some requirements. Not only did she have to ensure her safety, but she also had to be treated well. It would be best if she could become the leader of this team. That would be perfect. That's right. Who are you? Wang Zhong asked coldly. Ahem, it's like this. We are survivors just like you. Oh. Wang Zhong nodded his head. Then why are you causing trouble? Little brother, there's something you don't know. Although we were saved by those big sisters in the house, they simply didn't treat us as humans. Look, they made us eat white rice and didn't even have any side dishes. But what about them? They ate fish and meat. Sigh, little brother. I see that you're a capable person. Tell me, is this fair? Hee. Wang Zhong looked at this woman, as if he was looking at an idiot. He saved her. Not only was she ungrateful, she even wanted to make demands. This kind of person was indeed spoiled before the disaster. You all think it's unfair? Wang Zhong asked. That's right. It's definitely unfair. That's right. We're humans too. Why should so many of us eat so poorly? Someone echoed. All right, since you all think it's unfair, then leave this place. Wang Zhong said indifferently. Tsky, who do you think you are? The rich lady scolded. Without the slightest hesitation, Wang Zhong turned his head and sent a slap flying over. Slap. This slap, he used his internal energy and sent the rich lady flying. Ah, he hit me. The rich lady was obviously an expert at quarreling. She stood up and shouted, Everyone, let's go. Otherwise, we'll be bullied to death sooner or later. When the group of people was about to attack, Wang Zhong pointed the crossbow in his hand at the crowd. I'd like to see who dares to take half a step forward. We have so many people. You dare to attack us? The middle-aged man with the rich lady shouted. Wang Zhong laughed directly. The crossbow in his hand shot at the man's hand. Poof. Ah. The man sat on the ground in pain. You dare to shoot me? It hurts. At the same time, Yi Qianqian, Yi Jingjing, and the others rushed out with crossbows. The situation was under control in an instant. The group of people dared not act rashly. Listen up, I'll give you a chance. Either stay or leave. You choose. I'll give you 3 minutes to consider. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what to do. But most of them had the same idea. At least it was safe here. So they chose to stay. 3 minutes later, Wang Zhong nodded and said, "Very good. It seems that you've all chosen to stay. Now I'll announce the rules here." Then, Wang Zhong explained the rules he had set. When the group of people heard this, they couldn't stay calm. What slaves? How can this be? That's right, we have human rights. We don't want to be slaves. Down with imperialism, down with slavery, against, the group of people shouted with righteous indignation. Wang Zhong took the crossbow in Yi Qianqian's hand and shot at the arm of the woman, who shouted the loudest. Poof! Ah, the woman fell down. Wang Zhong shouted, "Whoever screams again, I'll kill him." The group of people stared at Wang Zhong in fear. They didn't dare to move. Qin Ling. Wang Zhong shouted, "I'm here." Qin Ling walked out. "In my life, you'll be the captain of the Human Resources Department here. Go get a notebook and write down everyone's name, age and skills." Yes, although Qin Ling was a bit strange why Wang Zhong did this, she still did as she was told. The 2 people on the ground are now slaves, because they are disobedient. As long as you are obedient and have a skill, you will be able to live well here. Now let's register your skills. I'm a truck driver. A dark-skinned man stood up. Qin Ling, who came back downstairs, began to record in her notebook. "I've been a soldier, I can fight." Wang Zhong nodded. "And you're temporarily listed as a 3rd-class soldier. If you perform well, you can be promoted to 2nd class. Thank you. I know how to manicure." A woman said. "Do you think people still need to manicure these days?" Wang Zhong was amused by this woman. "Not only do I know how to manicure, I also know how to cut hair." The woman continued. Wang Zhong thought for a moment. Although the haircut skill was not very good, but in this post-apocalyptic world, it was indeed necessary. When a person's hair grew long, not only was it uncomfortable, but it was also easy to get lice in this dirty environment. If there was a hairdresser who could cut hair for everyone, at least in terms of hygiene, it would reduce the chances of disease. And haircutting is also fine. You'll be temporarily listed as a 3rd-class soldier. But in addition to haircutting, you'll also need to do other work. I'll inform you of the details later. This was called not wasting any labor. After all, as the number of people increased, there would be less and less food, so he had to make full use of labor. He would not raise idle people. If they were disobedient, they would not be fed. "I can sing." A woman with a good figure winked at Wang Zhong, hoping that he would take a fancy to her. She continued, "I've also acted before." So she was a small star. Wang Zhong coldly snorted, "Scram, you'll be a slave from now on." "I'm a chef." A fat man stood up. Wang Zhong's eyes lit up. Wasn't this chef the head chef in his previous life? Wang Zhong had a deep impression of him. "Okay, you'll be in charge of the kitchen in the future. But listen, if we eat something bad, you'll be responsible." "Yes." The head chef quickly nodded. "I sell clothes, but I also know how to make clothes," a middle-aged woman said. So she was a tailor. Wang Zhong nodded. This type of person was also needed. After all, no one was producing clothes now. In order to make do with clothes, the importance of tailoring was highlighted. "You're a 3rd-class person." One by one, people reported their status. In the end, including the 2 injured people, there were a total of 8 slaves. Among them, Wang Zhong also categorized the slaves into different categories. Slaves were divided into 3 categories. One was the coolie-type slaves. This type of slave did the dirty and tiring work of moving things. The second was the household-type slaves. Most of the household-type slaves were women who didn't know anything, such as the small star here. This type of slave usually did some servant work, such as washing dishes, washing vegetables, cleaning food, and cleaning. Once someone in the camp made a contribution, Wang Zhong would consider rewarding these household-type slaves to the 2nd-class people who made a contribution. The third type of slave was the convict-type slaves who committed crimes in the camp. Because this type of slave had committed a crime, the requirements for them were very strict. It was to follow them out. After solving the zombies and some monsters, they were asked to clean up the crystals. This work had a certain danger, but a crime was a crime. Wang Zhong would not forgive them. Going out to face those monsters was the best punishment for them. After arranging these people, Wang Zhong called Niu Fei, Qin Ling, Anai Xiaoqin, Yi Qianqian, Yi Jingjing, Aunt Li and others into the villa to prepare for a meeting. Well, the camp has been established. Next, give the camp a name. Yi Qianqian, what do you think? Chapter 333. Wang Zhong looked at Yi Qianqian. In his previous life, Yi Qianqian had gone crazy and named her camp Grandpa Gang. In this life, he wanted to see if Yi Qianqian would still name it. Yi Qianqian tilted her head and said, I think we should call it Big King Gang. Big King Gang? Wang Zhong was speechless. Why call it Big King Gang instead of Grandpa Gang? If this team is mine, I want to call it Big Yi Gang, but this team is yours. I think it's better to call it Big King Gang. Big Yi Gang, not Grandpa Gang? Wang Zhong was stunned and suddenly thought of a big mistake. The so-called Grandpa Gang was not Grandpa Gang, but Big Yi. In his previous life, many people heard it as Grandpa. Without thinking much, Wang Zhong waved his hand and said, The name is too trashy. No matter how you listen, it sounds like a motley crew. Give it a more domineering name. Let's call it Sky Dragon Gang. Yi Jingjing said. No, it sounds like an underworld. Wang Zhong shook his head. A good name could give people a first impression. The first impression was very important. In this apocalypse, once there were many people and an organization was formed, it needed a good reputation. After all, if you stood on the moral high ground, the people who opposed you would always be few. Therefore, a good name was very important. The name must have a sense of justice. After thinking about it, Wang Zhong said, Let's call it People's Community. People's Community highlighted their people-oriented. Community. It sounded like a place filled with love. People's Community represented their purpose of serving the people. Just from the name alone, it meant that they were good. Of course, this was just for show. If these people really came in, everything would have to follow his rules. People's Community? Yi Jingjing frowned and felt that the name was not good at all. There was a sense of intimidation in it. This name is good. Aunt Li nodded. Then let's call it People's Community. But Wang Yan, my parents are still at home. I want to save them. Yi Qianqian said. I also want to go home to pick up my family. Aunt Li said. I also have a family, but not in this city. Niu Fei sighed. Let's talk about it later. Wang Zhong looked at them and did not refuse. He couldn't possibly say that he knew about their situation and that their families were all dead. Therefore, he could only say, All right, go back and take a look. If you need anything, I will do my best to help. However, the prerequisite is that you must first master your strength. The people here, except for Niu Fei, were all trusted aides. Now that Yi Jingjing, Yi Qianqian, and Auntie Li had all obtained strength, it was time for the others. Qin Ling, Niu Fei and Ai Xiaoqin, follow me upstairs. Wang Zhong went upstairs to the exchange point and gave Qin Ling 100 crystals. In his previous life, Qin Ling had relied on a lottery to obtain a pair of angel wings, allowing her to fly in the sky. Later on, she was injured and shot to death while recuperating. Qin Ling walked in and started the lottery. 10 minutes later, when Qin Ling used the lottery for the 5th time, she got the angel wings. Angel wings, functional equipment. After merging with the body, the angel wings drilled into the back. When using it, vibrate the arms. The angel wings spread out and can flap to fly. After that, she got ordinary small equipment from the lottery. She exited the exchange point in a daze. After Qin Ling came out, she told Wang Zhong about the equipment she got. Angel wings. Wang Zhong smiled and patted Qin Ling's shoulder. He joked, In the future, you will be the captain of the reconnaissance team. Familiarize yourself with your equipment. If I find out that you can't fly in a few days, I will whip you. Qin Ling nodded embarrassedly. I understand. After Qin Ling went downstairs, Wang Zhong looked at Niu Fei. Niu Fei. Similarly, Wang Zhong threw 100 crystals to Niu Fei and said, "You go to the lottery. It's best if you can get the reward. If you can't, you will have to rely on yourself for the crystals in the future." I know. Niu Fei nodded heavily. Come on. Only in this way can your woman look up to you. Wang Zhong said. You don't want to see Gua Ying and Gu Peipei throw themselves into the arms of other men in the future, right? Niu Fei was shocked. At this moment he thought of Gua Ying. At that time, he had no money and no ability. He was short and ugly. Gua Ying never cared about him. Several times, he saw Gua Ying and Zhang Dada go to get a room. His heart was bleeding. He didn't care about Gua Ying and Zhang Dada being together. But he was worried that Gua Ying would be hurt by Zhang Dada. But now his former goddess was with him. What a great opportunity this was. He must work hard. He didn't have to worry about his beloved being hurt by others. He didn't have to buy condoms for those men because Gua Ying was his. Boss, I will do my best. Niu Fei strode to the exchange point. 15 minutes later, Niu Fei walked out with a depressed face. How is it? Wang Zhong was curious. I am so unlucky. Niu Fei cried directly. In the lucky draw just now, the first 2 times were rewarded with 2 screwdrivers. The next few times were a bottle of water. Until the last time, he was rewarded with a card. Lucky card, skill equipment. When using it, it is favored by the goddess of luck. The luck value increases sharply. The time limit is 1 hour. Wang Zhong took the lucky card, and his heart moved. Although this card was not a piece of equipment for fighting, it was not completely useless. For example, when facing the enemy's bullets in the battle, if he used this card, would it be regarded as good luck? And the bullets would not easily hit him. Taking a step back, if he used this card, would he have good luck in the lucky draw? It was all possible. However, this was a one-time thing after all. Wang Zhong put away the card and said to Niu Fei, "This card is a bit useful. Unfortunately, it is of no use to you." Niu Fei cried. Suddenly, he knelt down. "Boss, I have lived for more than 20 years and have been looked down upon. Now that the former goddess is by my side, I can't be like this. What do you want to do? Please lend me 100 crystals. I, Niu Fei, swear that I will go out to hunt zombies later and return them to you." Niu Fei cried with a sad face. Wang Zhong sighed. After living for so long, he had already developed a heart of stone. However, this Niu Fei was a little different. He was very honest, which could be seen from his attitude towards Gua Ying. This person was still trustworthy. "Well, I will give you another 100 crystals for the experiment." Niu Fei kowtowed heavily. "Boss, in the future, even if you ask me to climb a mountain of swords or go into a sea of fire, I, Niu Fei, will never frown. Cut the crap, go to the lucky draw." Niu Fei then walked to the exchange point. This time, Wang Zhong gave him the level 3 crystal in the bat's head. Chapter 334. In his previous life, level 3 crystals were very precious. Even level 2 crystals were rare items for Yi Qianqian. After all, level 3 crystals were equivalent to 30 level 1 crystals. So 1 level 3 crystal could be used as 30 level 1 crystals in the exchange point card slot. I hope my luck is better this time. Niu Fei wiped his tears and started the lottery. Just like the previous one, he got some small items. Soon 3 level 3 crystals were used up. Looking at the only level 3 crystal left in his hand, Niu Fei cried again. Is this the only way I can do this in my life? Why is my luck so bad? Niu Fei gritted his teeth and continued the lottery with cold eyes. This time the screen flickered. 40-meter-long broadsword, offensive equipment weapon. A 40-meter-long broadsword. When not in use, the length can be shrunk to the length of a finger. When in use, expend energy to pull out the long broadsword and sweep the people within 40 meters. Equipment. Niu Fei was stunned. Suddenly he felt like crying with joy. I have equipment too, ha ha ha. Although he didn't know if this 40-meter-long broadsword was reliable, it seemed to be the case just by looking at the introduction. He didn't exchange for any equipment from another dimension. After all, this broadsword could become very small and could be carried around. After merging with the body, Niu Fei walked out of the exchange point happily and said to Wang Zhong, "Great boss, I got this, a 40-meter-long broadsword." Wang Zhong's expression changed and glanced at the broadsword in Niu Fei's hand. This broadsword suddenly grew by 1 meter as Niu Fei took it out. It looked like a golden rod that could change its size at will. Not bad. Wang Zhong nodded. He was happy that Niu Fei could get good equipment. After all, Niu Fei was a member of his team. Work hard in the future. As long as you do well, I'll give you a lot of rewards. Thank you. I'll work hard. Well, Yi Qianqian has arranged a separate residence for you. You can bring your 2 women there. After Niu Fei left, Enai Xiaoqin walked over and said, "Wang Yan, are the rules you set for the camp useful?" "Why? Do you think it's inappropriate?" Wang Zhong asked with a smile. "That's not it. I just feel that it's not a good idea to demote those people to slaves." Enai Xiaoqin was still a student, so she still considered whether it was inhumane to do that. Wang Zhong said, "Enai Xiaoqin, do you still remember the day we met? If I hadn't appeared, what would have happened to you?" Enai Xiaoqin was stunned and began to recall the details of that day. All of a sudden, she realized that if Wang Zhong did not appear, she didn't dare to imagine any further. Think about it again. When we were eating, those people came over to snatch our food. Think about those people who were causing trouble at the entrance. We clearly saved them, but what did they do? Not only did they not appreciate it, they even thought that it was natural for us to do these things. They even wanted to hurt us. Enai Xiaoqin, you are a good girl. I understand that you feel sad when you see people suffering, but don't forget that this is the end of the world. Your compassion might be your weakness. Do you understand? I understand. And only when we live well can we better help others. Wang Zhong passed a pile of crystals to Enai Xiaoqin. Okay, you can go and try it. Enai Xiaoqin nodded and walked in. After 10 minutes, Enai Xiaoqin also walked out with a trace of joy. Wang Yan, I seem to have obtained something good. Enai Xiaoqin said and handed over a piece of scale. Wang Zhong glanced at it. This scale was actually dark gold in color. It was sparkling and translucent. This thing seems to be called something like the Qilin arm scale. Enai Xiaoqin thought for a while and passed it to Wang Zhong. Wang Yan, you saved me before. Take this. For me? Enai Xiaoqin was unusually determined. Wang Zhong was happy. Now that he could absorb spiritual energy, it was equivalent to cultivating. This thing was useless to him. Enai Xiaoqin, use it yourself. But if you are very weak, I will also demote you to a slave. Do you understand? Wang Zhong purposely said to scare her. So you have to become stronger. Enai Xiaoqin heard and quickly protected the scale. Then I will use it myself. Following the description of the scale, Enai Xiaoqin stretched out her hand and placed the scale on her right arm. In an instant, the scale was like water, soaking into her arm. So hot! Enai Xiaoqin screamed. She felt as if lava had drilled into her right arm. This boiling hot feeling made her want to cut off her arm immediately. Hang in there. Wang Zhong supported Enai Xiaoqin. However, when he touched Enai Xiaoqin's right arm, he was also scalded. He quickly retracted his hand and saw that his palm was blistered. What a strong force! A shocked expression appeared on Wang Zhong's face. Enai Xiaoqin rolled around in pain. Fortunately, after 3 minutes, the merged force seemed to have disappeared. Suddenly, her right arm began to turn black, and then small white scales began to crawl up her arm. What is this? Enai Xiaoqin was so scared that she almost peed her pants. Wang Zhong felt that Enai Xiaoqin's arm was not as hot as before. Then he touched her arm. The scales were soft to the touch. Obviously, Enai Xiaoqin's arm was still in its infancy. He estimated that if she used it for a long time, the scales on Enai Xiaoqin's arm would slowly become firm. Don't be nervous. How do you feel? Enai Xiaoqin took a deep breath and started to feel her arm. She realized that although her arm was much uglier now, her senses were sharper and filled with a feeling of strength. Moreover, she felt that her arm seemed to contain a strong burning force. However, this burning force did not harm her at all. Instead, it was very intimate with her. This feeling, it feels good. And Xiaoqin subconsciously squeezed Wang Zhong's palm. In an instant, Wang Zhong felt that his hand was clamped by a strong force. Hiss, be gentle, it hurts a little. Wang Zhong quickly said. Oh, I'm sorry. And Xiaoqin quickly retracted her hand and said embarrassedly. I just mastered this force. I'm not familiar with it yet. It's okay. You'll get used to it. Wang Zhong was very pleased. Now, in just a few days after the apocalypse, he had so much combat power in his hands. His future was definitely limitless. However, for the convenience of management, he decided not to let so many people come to the lottery in the future. He needed to have 100% control over this combat power. Let's go downstairs. After going downstairs, Yi Qianqian and the others had already ordered the new people to start cleaning up the district. First, there was the issue of safety. Their villa district was divided into 4 gates: north, south, east, and west. There were thick walls all around as fences, and there were barbed wires on top of the fences. In a short period of time, there was no problem with safety. However, Wang Zhong still arranged some people to guard the entrance. Every entrance was given a high-pitched speaker with batteries. If there was any danger, they would immediately call out. Food was convenient because there was already a lot of food in the villa that Wang Zhong rented. It was enough for a short period of time. However, Wang Zhong thought that as the number of people increased, the need for food would definitely increase. Therefore, the most important thing was to find food. Early the next morning, Wang Zhong brought Yi Qianqian, Yi Jingjing, and the others out. There were also some slaves following behind them, as they went to the big shopping mall around the district. Firstly, Wang Zhong wanted to train Yi Qianqian and the others' combat ability. Secondly, they were looking for food and collecting crystals. With a certain level of organizational ability, the results of these things were very good. A week later, with their district as the center, the surrounding area was cleared and hundreds of survivors were found. As for the food, it was innumerable. Now his villa could not fit all of it, so he temporarily put it in another villa next to it. Boss. On this day, Wang Zhong was looking at a place where firearms were stored on the map. At this time, Niu Fei rushed in. Niu Fei, what's wrong? Today, I brought people to chase a few wolf beasts and found a place, the police station. Oh, well, I took a look. There are no zombies there. It's very quiet. I'm thinking if we can go there and get guns. Wang Zhong's heart moved. These days, he had been observing some military locations on the map. He also let Qin Ling use her angel wings to observe. The conclusion was that although there were no zombies in those places, there were no people. Experience told him that where there were no people and no zombies, there would be large monsters. At present, the biggest threat to them was these large monsters. Each large monster was very difficult to deal with. Not to mention bullets. Even the effect of artillery shells was limited in the early days of Doomsday. This was the reason why the government was defeated at the beginning. It was too difficult for weapons to deal with these large monsters. Therefore, he did not have the idea of those military locations these days. However, he was tempted by the police station that Niu Fei mentioned. The weapons in the police station may not have heavy firepower, but for unarmed people like them, it was enough. He could definitely equip a small force that could attack and defend. Well, this is a good idea. Wang Zhong nodded. Do you know the situation inside? That group of wolf beasts are in the police station. I suspect that there is a den of wolf beasts. Is that so? Wang Zhong frowned. Wolf beasts were not powerful. Ordinary small wolf beasts were not powerful. However, once the wolf beasts reached adulthood, some of them were the size of a commercial vehicle. Moreover, their movements were very fast. It was very difficult to deal with them. However, no matter how difficult it was to deal with them, Wang Zhong was ready to try. A team needed experience. A team that had not seen blood would never be able to win a battle. Pass down the order. Drive my iron armor number 1, 5 three-wheeled chariots, and 10 steps toward the police station. Chapter 335. Pass down my order. Drive my iron armor number 1, 5 three-wheeled chariots, and 10 armored horses to the police station. The so-called iron armor number 1 was naturally a large truck that had been modified by Wang Zhong. The three-wheeled chariots were modified tricycles with batteries installed on them. Not only were they fast, but the tires were also made of vacuum tires, making them sturdy and durable. These materials were not available at first. However, in the past few days, when they were searching nearby, they found a whole commercial street filled with battery-powered vehicles. Therefore, not only did they find a lot of battery-powered tricycles on this street, but they also found more than a dozen battery-powered vehicle repairmen. It was these people who had modified the tricycles so well. Each tricycle, including the driver, could seat 3 people at the back. These people were the soldiers of the camp, responsible for hunting monsters and seizing crystals. As for the armored horses, naturally, they were the high-powered battery-powered vehicles. Each battery-powered vehicle could carry 1 person, and the people at the back were armed with iron spears. It was very convenient for them to attack or retreat. Of course, although there was no electricity in the camp, it was not a problem. Wang Zhong used a generator, and the gasoline was obtained from the nearby gas station. The reason why Wang Zhong changed the names of these equipment was that he wanted to give people a domineering feeling, to unite the people in the camp, and let outsiders know that their community was not to be bullied. The team was quickly assembled, except for some people who stayed behind to guard the camp. Wang Zhong had brought almost half of the people with equipment. Let's go! Wang Zhong stood on the truck and shouted into the walkie-talkie. The mighty team began to set off. Now the main body of his team was divided into ability users and ordinary people. The ability users were Nai Shaoqin, Yi Qianqian, and other people with equipment. The ordinary people were ordinary people. In the team, the ordinary people wore motorcycle helmets to protect their safety. The streets nearby had already been cleaned up, so cars could drive through without any obstructions. After more than 10 minutes, the road gradually became worse, but the team could still barely walk. Along the way, they would occasionally encounter zombies that surrounded them, but they were all stabbed to death by the armored horses with iron spears. Okay, stop! The procession stopped here. There was no other way. As they moved forward, there were more and more zombies, and there were many unknown monsters hiding in the surroundings. Now was a time when people were needed, so it was better to be careful. Everyone climb into the trucks and move at random. At Wang Zhong's command, a group of people climbed into the car. With such a high vantage point, he didn't have to worry about being surrounded by zombies. He could stab and kill the zombies from above. This was the first time they had mobilized so many people. Wang Zhong also wanted to train these people's ability to move together. Puff puffed. As the zombies fell one by one, the stench of blood filled the entire street. Everyone was wearing masks and enduring the nausea as they worked. Phew! Finally, Wang Zhong breathed a sigh of relief. The zombies on the ground were almost all dealt with. Slave team, get off and dig for crystals. Yes. Although the slaves didn't want to get off, the team members around them were eyeing them covetously, so they didn't dare to not get off. Even the couple, who had been injured before, had bandages wrapped around their hands. They struggled to get out of the car, and used their only hand to pry open the disgusting zombie's head with a small dagger. While the team members were doing their jobs, Wang Zhong picked up the binoculars and looked at the police station in the distance. The police station was not high, only 3 floors. It was a few kilometers away from here. In these few kilometers, there were many damaged cars in front of them. If they wanted to drive a truck, they would have to move these cars away. Wang Zhong was not in a hurry. There were so many crystals in the vicinity. They could search for them, strengthen the team, and take over the police station in one fell swoop. Boss, not good, we found a small group of survivors. At this time, the team members who went out to search the nearby buildings ran in. How many people? Is there a threat? Their leader is a man. He was with me and was caught by them. Their leader seems to be able to set fire. He is a paranormal. Oh, Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. This was the first time he found a paranormal outside. For the paranormal found outside, Wang Zhong tried his best to persuade them to surrender. But if they were disobedient, he would not take them in as a slave. Instead, he would directly kill them. After all, paranormal had all kinds of abilities. He didn't feel at ease keeping a disobedient paranormal by his side. Let's go and take a look. The rest of you stay here and wait for orders. Wang Zhong led Ai Xiaoqin and Yi Jingjing and followed the man. The building in front of them was an office building. It was only 5 floors high. The upper floors were all made of glass. But now most of the glass walls had been destroyed. Logically speaking, this kind of place was not suitable for survival, because there were no suitable hiding places around. Where are those people hiding? Boss, after we went in, we found some zombie corpses on the ground. After checking, we found that the crystals in the zombies' brains were gone. We guessed that someone must have taken them away. We were just about to go back and report to you that we saw 6 people in the corridor. One of them, a man with yellow hair, set fire to us. The man who spoke seemed to want to describe the scene at that time. He stretched out his hand and said, "That's it." There was a fire burning in his hand. Xiao Ding, who was with me, was burned at that time. Fortunately, I hid at the stairs and escaped quickly. In the corridor. Got it, let's go and take a look. Wang Zhong held the crossbow in his hand and walked quickly. The scales on Ai Xiaoqin's right arm had slowly grown out. This was her preparation before the battle. The Qilin arm was invincible. There. The man stood at the entrance of the corridor and said, "We were walking towards the basement when we met them. Well, it seems that they are hiding in the basement." Yi Jingjing nodded slightly. The crossbow in her hand was ready. At the same time, her right eye began to emit a red light. The sharpshooters eye could not only aim at anything, but also see anything in the dark. Yi Jingjing walked in front and slightly stretched her head. The corridor was silent. However, no one relaxed their vigilance. The other party was also a paranormal. They must not let their guard down. There were a lot of bloodstains in the corridor. Wang Zhong could see clearly with the flashlight. At this time, there were rustling sounds coming from downstairs. Obviously, someone was hiding downstairs. The basement was getting darker and darker. Wang Zhong looked at the label on the big iron door. It showed that the basement was on the 1st floor. It smells like something is burning. Ai Xiaoqin sniffed with her nose. Wang Zhong naturally smelled it too. Just as he was about to open the door, suddenly, there was a loud bang. A huge flame burned towards them. Sizzle! The scorching flames burned the corners of everyone's faces painfully. Fortunately, the big iron door was isolated. The 4 of them were hiding behind the wall. "Friend, we are from the people's community. We are good people. If you come with us now, we can provide you with food and shelter." Wang Zhong shouted, "Get out of my way right now. I am living very well here." The person inside responded with a hoarse voice. "You can't hide here. Go." The reason why he let him out was that on one hand, Wang Zhong did not want to have an unstable factor around his camp. "I don't need help. Go." The person inside shouted stubbornly. Wang Zhong's face turned cold. He had given him a chance. Unfortunately, he did not cherish it. So he could not be blamed. Wang Zhong gave Yi Jingjing and Ai Xiaoqin a look. Wang Zhong crouched and walked to the door. Through the crack of the door, there was a fire inside. There were about 7 to 8 people around the fire, looking at them nervously. Above the fire, there seemed to be something roasting. When he took a closer look, Wang Zhong was stunned. There was a leg above the fire. After the disaster, many things had happened, but this was the first time Wang Zhong saw such a shocking scene. This scene was not scary, but it made Wang Zhong feel very disgusted. These people were actually like this. For a moment, Wang Zhong's killing intent rose. He was not against killing, but a person should have a bottom line. Those who did not have a bottom line should be killed. Turning back, Wang Zhong made a throat-slitting gesture at Ai Xiaoqin and Yi Jingjing. The 2 of them did not understand what Wang Zhong saw, but they understood. "Boss, the people outside should have been scared away by you, right?" Behind the big iron door, someone muttered. "They should have been scared away. Who can resist boss fire?" Go out and take a look." The yellow-haired young man in the middle said coldly. "Ah." The 2 people at the outermost were stunned and were a little scared. What's wrong? Disobedient? The yellow-haired young man raised his hand. In an instant, flames appeared on his hand. Don't. Boss, we will go and take a look immediately. The two of them swallowed a mouthful of saliva in horror and walked forward. Looking at the two people walking over, Wang Zhong was ready to take action. He said in a soft voice, "And I, Xiaoqin, break open the door. Yi Jingjing, when the time comes, aim for that yellow-haired guy and kill him on the spot." And I, Xiaoqin nodded. Scales covered her entire right arm. Bang! And I, Xiaoqin smashed the iron door open with a punch and rushed in. "You're courting death." The yellow-haired young man smiled sinisterly and extended his right palm toward the door. Rumble! He did not care that his two underlings were in front of him. A huge flame rushed out from his palm. The two underlings were the first to suffer. They were burned into big fireballs and fell to the ground screaming. And I, Xiaoqin, was not afraid of the flame at all. She placed her arm in front of her, and a scorching hot force blocked in front of her like magma. The flame was forcefully blocked. This was also the reason why Wang Zhong brought in I, Xiaoqin here. She was not afraid of the flame at all. Whoosh! Yi Jingjing also shot the crossbow tacitly. The arrow pierced through the two people who were on fire and nailed the yellow-haired young man's neck. How can this be? The yellow-haired young man groaned and fell to the ground holding his neck. At the same time, the flame in his palm was extinguished. Everyone don't move. Wang Zhong walked in with the crossbow and pointed at the group of people. So many people. At this time, Yang Jingjing, who walked in, was shocked to see a big iron cage in the corner. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.